Welcome back to the Pesky Report. This is episode 481 of the Pesky Report, brought to you by the Monster.
The Boston Red Sox have promoted Roman Anthony to the major leagues. It has happened. I got permission from Jared Gravitz. I texted him. I said, can I use the positivity horn for this episode? He said, absolutely, do it. Roman Anthony, it has taken 3 months of the season. Everybody's been asking for it for 2 months. The Boston Red Sox take 2 out of 3 in the Bronx from the New York Yankees. Hunter Dobbins puts his nuts on the table and says, I will never play for the New York Yankees. And he goes out there and wins. Vibes are high. What can they possibly do to keep the train rolling? How about Roman Anthony on your head? That is just the news of the century. We got tonight, in his debut, we got Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, Marcelo Meyer batting back to back to back. Boston Red Sox 2-game winning streak. They're going for 3. They're going for 4. They're going for 5. How long is it going to last? I don't know. I'm riding a high. Derek's riding a high. Jake, who's not with us, is riding a high. Pesky Report's feeling good. Woo! Little Ric Flair for everybody.
Yeah, there we go. No, it's a good feeling right now. I'll just say that right off the top. We'll wish Jake some wishes. He's obviously with us in spirit. The hope is he will be back soon, but we don't want to rush him. So shout out Jake. But we got to get into this because this is going to be just a warning. This is going to be a long episode. Yeah, if you remember the last year
that it lasted somehow, you're going to be like, this is a 3.5-hour pod. Here's your warning. Yeah. You already saw it when you clicked on it.
Yes, but in case you just clicked on it without paying attention, or you just normally click on our minor league show, this is going to be a long one. As you would know from last year when Hunter and I were tag teaming it, we went long every single time. We have even more to talk about than normal, though. Roman Anthony, obviously, absolute stud. There's no other way to put it. This guy is the best prospect in baseball, and it's just, at this point, anything Roman Anthony was doing in AAA was not a surprise. It just wasn't a surprise. I mean, just going through the numbers, and the numbers don't even really do it justice. I mean, for God's sake, he had a 497-foot grand slam. Like,
that was absurd.
Just let's start with that. That's absurd. Actually absurd. But this year, in 58 games, 10 homers. He hit 10 homers in 58 games. His slash line of 288, 423, and 491. 146 weighted runs created plus. He had 21 extra base hits. Like I said, 10 of those were homers. He also had 9 doubles and 2 triples. Just the fact that he only had 29 RBIs just tells you that he was hitting leadoff. Like, there's also that. He also, I think the biggest thing of note, 58 games, the 56 strikeouts, so less than a strikeout a game, and then also, too, he had 51 walks, so he almost had 1 walk a game. That, out of someone who just turned 21 years old, less than a month ago, still at this point, is stellar, to say the least. Almost a walk a game at that age is stellar. We have seen Roman Anthony for a long time now, right? From when he was drafted through every single step in the minor leagues. There might not be a prospect that has, at least there hasn't been a prospect in recent memory, at least since the whole Hein Bloom regime took over, that has garnered this much hype. And obviously Roman Anthony's number one prospect in baseball. The Red Sox haven't had that in a long time since Yohan Moncada, and then he was swiftly traded away for Chris Sale. I don't think there's any more excited that you can get as a Red Sox fan who loves to follow the minor leagues than right now, with Roman Anthony being called to big leagues, with Marcelo Meyer and Christian Campbell already there. Hunter, I know you're feeling good, but just how good does it feel?
I was like an immediate hypocrite. We'll talk about it in a bit. Before we started, we talked about how we feel bad because we were both very excited to talk about Brian Van Belle getting promoted. It's a cool story. Undrafted, it was 2020, so still there were 5 rounds that year, but it was one of those undrafted guy who works his way up. He's making his major league debut. He's I think 28. So that was a very cool story, something we were very excited to talk about. And I tweeted out about how every promotion's cool, but those ones always feel a little bit more special, like seeing someone carve out that path to the majors. And I literally in the tweet I said, whenever that Roman Anthony promotion comes that we all know is eventually coming, it'll be amazing. But like, there's a special feeling with these other guys who you didn't know if they were going to get a chance. Like everyone knew Roman Anthony was getting promoted at some point. And I said, like, BVB getting his chance makes me shed a thug tear. And then 3 minutes later, oh, by the way, Roman Anthony's getting called up. And I've tweeted like 47 times since then. Just Anthony's a Boston Red Sox. I'm retweeting everybody posting like pictures of him headed to Fenway. I'm excited. I'm yelling at Jeff Passan. I'm tweeting at Jake. I'm tweeting at myself. And after a little bit, I literally said it's hilarious that like 3 minutes after that tweet, Roman gets promoted, and I've tweeted like an excited puppy. So apparently, I'm a liar. I'm a hypocrite. Yeah, it's like another thing I said on Twitter is the vibes were at like an all-time low on Friday. The team's in the dirt. They're playing bad. They just lost the series to the Angels. They had the Sadon walk-off, which like helped things a little bit, but still you lost the series to the Angels. And then you get knocked around by the Yankees in the first game of the series. They made it a game. It was 9-6, but that wasn't really a game where anybody felt like they were going to win. Like when Walker Buehler went out there and pooped his pants, I don't think anybody was like, oh yeah, no. Like, even when Rafael Devers hit that homer, I literally tweeted out like, I wish I was more excited about that home run. But it was just like I had learned that the Red Sox were. I assumed they were going to make it a one-run loss. I 100% assumed it was going to just be another one-run loss. And they go out, they win game 2. Hunter Dobbins made those comments about how he'd never want to play for the Yankees, he'd retire. And I saw a lot of negative comments from Red Sox fans, and I get it. Oh, you don't want the rookie to be talking too much, and then he goes out there and gives up a 2-run home run to Aaron Judge. Oh no, he gave up a home run to Aaron Judge, something that every pitcher in the world at this point has done. And he ends up having a solid start, out pitching Carlos Rodon, who has been an all-star this year. Red Sox get the win. They take the series in the Bronx. You feel like the vibes were decently better at that point, and then all of a sudden this promotion hits, and this is genuinely the most excited I've been about the Red Sox since like the start of the year. Because, or I should say, maybe there was like that one stretch like when they swept the Cardinals and all that, and vibes were kind of high then. But then since then, it's just been teetering around 500. Now they've been under 500 for a while. And now it's one of those things where if they make the playoffs, awesome. Obviously, I'm still hoping that they can make the playoffs. They can make this run. There should be a lot of energy on the team right now in Fenway. Like the atmosphere at Fenway is going to be insane this weekend. Like the people that bought the tickets to this game just expecting to go see the Red Sox on a Monday night and all
lucky pieces of crap,
right? Jordan Leandri, our fearless leader, is going to the game tomorrow, and he was selfishly a little upset that Roman was making his debut tonight. But like people are going to be going insane. I mean, the reception that Marcelo got when he made his debut, when the fans gave him a standing ovation when he stepped up to the plate, and the ovation that Roman Anthony's going to get, like that's going to be one of those where
absurd.
The umpire might have to like call time because there's the pitch clock. He might have to be like, all right, you know what? Let's let him step out of the box and wave to the crowd because it might be that ridiculous. The only reason it might be tempered the slightest is because he'll be in the field before that, so fans will be able to get to cheer him when he runs onto the field and stuff. But yeah, it's to the point now where, like I said, if they make a playoff run, that's awesome. If they make that push, great. But if they don't, there's something to watch now. Like, yes, obviously Christian Campbell was up, Marcelo Meyer was up, but it was still that, like, there was always going to be that point of, like, if we're not winning games, why isn't the top prospect in baseball up? Why isn't the guy that every other team in the world, like there were reports last week that were like other team evaluators saying like it's embarrassing that Roman Anthony is not in the majors right now. Like that's gone. Yeah, it don't get me wrong. Absolutely sucks that Willie Abreu got hurt. Hopefully it's not a long-term thing. They're going to have to figure stuff out when he comes back. I'm assuming there's going to be a trade. If they can get a starting pitcher for one of the outfielders, that would be incredible. But we're now at that point where all the guys are up, like all that group of core players who you hope will be on the team for the next 15 years. You know, you have Rafael Devers locked down for 10 more years. Cedar Rafael is locked down for a while. Again, I will staunchly defend him as the best defensive outfielder in the world. And we've seen what he can do with the bat recently. You have those three up. Carlos Narvaez has been incredible. He should be in the All-Star game. Obviously, he won't be starting because of Cal Raleigh. But you have all the pieces there, and now you get to watch them develop. So even if things don't go perfectly this year, it's going to be those guys in hopefully 90% of the games for the rest of the year. You're going to get to see all three of those guys putting up numbers, doing cool things. You know, there's going to be games where it's like, damn, we lost, but oh, look, Roman Anthony got on base 3. He had a walk and 2 hits and a home run, and Marcelo Meyer hit a homer, and Christian Campbell went 3 for 4, and Carlos Narvaez got a hit, and Cedar Rafael made a diving play. And it's like there's issues with the pitching. That's going to be the terrible thing. They have Garrett Crochet, who has been possibly the best pitcher in baseball, and then slop behind him. I mean, it's good that his nickname's the Pig, because
let's not disgrace Hunter Dobbins here.
Yes, yeah, no, you're right. Hunter Dobbins has been awesome. It's upsetting though that a rookie who had like 40 career innings,
who was really like number 9 or 10 on the depth chart entering spring training.
Yeah, it's upsetting that you have to be like, oh well, Hunter Dobbins is starting, so at least we'll get 5 innings out of our starter this week. Like that shouldn't be the thing. That should be something you're expecting from all of your starters. And to be fair, like Brian Baez looked good looked decent his last time out. I still have hope for him. And like Walker Buehler's had a couple bad starts, but he was really good early in the year. Hopefully he can get back to that. You never know what
Giolito's been all over the place.
You never know what you're going to get with Lucas Giolito. But I mean, there's exciting things going on everywhere. And it'll be nice to see them have those games where no matter what happens, no matter what the Red Sox record is, no matter if they're winning or losing, people are gonna want to be tuned in. Like that was becoming the issue, is fans were like, why am I even watching? Like what is my reason for investing in this team who is all of a sudden, 4 or 5 games under 500, and they have veterans hitting 210 in their starting lineup every day, and the best prospect in baseball isn't in the and now it's again the ridiculous amount. I mean, this was already like the youngest team in baseball, and now they're throwing a just turned 21-year-old into the starting lineup, hopefully every day. I can't imagine, barring him going 0 for 30 while Willier's hurt, even if Willier comes back in 15 days, I can't imagine Roman Anthony's going down unless he just looks completely lost. Like, they didn't call him up as a short-term plug-in. Like, there's no way that this isn't Roman Anthony is up here unless he needs to go back down to figure something out. There is almost a 0% chance. If that's what they're doing, I will have another Craig rant in loading, because that will blow my mind. So yeah, we're now at a point in the Red Sox season where playoffs are still a thing that can happen. They can absolutely still go on a run. There's a ridiculous amount of talent on this team, but it's also a ridiculous amount of young talent. I just wrote something tonight. It'll be out either tonight or tomorrow, talking about 2 things that the Red Sox need to do now that Roman Anthony has been called up. One of them was they do need to trade an outfielder. They need to figure out the logjam. Now that's, again, depending on the Willier injury. If this is a very long-term injury, it's not something you should worry about right now. You should have all your outfielders, you can still field a ridiculously good 3-man outfield with the talent you have, with having Ref Schneider on the bench. But if it's a short-term injury, they have to figure something out, because there's no reason for Roman Anthony to not be every day from now on. And the other thing was patience. The patience and putting him in the right spot to win. The fans should, you have every right to be excited, but his teammates should not put him in a place where he has to be the savior of the season. They have 4 rookies right now in the starting lineup. Technically 3 tonight because Connor Wong is catching, but 4 rookies should be should
We
be
want
in their
all the
starting
rookies.
lineup. We do want all the rookies. 4 rookies should be in the starting lineup most nights with Carlos Narvaez, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell. Their teammates should not put them in a place where they're the ones that have to come up with big hits often. And luckily, we've seen Cedar Rafael with the walk-off homer the other night. Rafael Devers has had a lot of clutch hits this year. Jarren Duran has had some clutch hits. Trevor Story's looked really good recently. That's been phenomenal. Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez are combining to be like one of the better first basemen in the MLB right now. Like they've both been phenomenal. I think both of them are hitting over 300.
Third too.
Yes. Toro's getting a little time.
Which unfortunately is taking playing time away from Meyer, but that's
let's not get into that.
Well,
that'll just make
let's
me
not
more
get
angry.
into platooning left-handed hitters even. Because they're rookies.
I understand not throwing Marcelo Meyer into the fire every night. He shouldn't be sitting like 3 nights in a row. You can,
but when you face lefties they faced lefties 4 out of their last 6 games.
Yes,
but it was 2 lefties, then 2 righties, then 2 lefties. Yes,
like I'm not saying start him every night against lefties, but give him one of those lefties.
Yeah. But also too, it's not like his splits were terrible in the minor leagues.
No, not at all. No. Yeah, he had a lot of big hits off lefties this year. Same with
AAA lefties are different than big league lefties when it comes to like a Carlos Rodon or a Max Fried, who they're going to be facing both of them this upcoming weekend.
But you also that's how you get better. That's how you learn. Like he's not going to become a good hitter against left-handed hitting or pitching if he's not hitting left-handed pitching.
Same thing with Roman. So please don't platoon him with left center.
When Marcelo got called up, I remember I tweeted it out. He had like a 272 average against righties and 271 against lefties, or the other way around. Like it was identical. And yes, like the slugging percentage was better against righties and stuff, but like he's not a lost puppy against left-handed hitting. But yeah, they have these 4 rookies in the lineup. I'm asking the teammates to not beg them to be the saviors every night. I'm asking the coaches to not put them in positions where they have to be the saviors every night. I'm asking the front office for patience, and I'm asking fans for patience. It's 100% okay to be excited. I'm excited. But if Roman Anthony struggles for a week, I don't want to see the whole, like, he's not ready, demote him. It's ridiculous that he got, like, there's going to be, if that happens, there's going to be so much backtracking, especially from certain Red Sox media people that love to do that, especially radio people. Just, like, don't expect Roman Anthony to come up and hit 400 and have every big clutch hit and make every diving play. He's playing right field at Fenway. I believe you're the one that said it. He hasn't played right field since May 3rd, right? Yeah,
in our group chat.
Like where, like this is and Fenway Park.
He's been playing almost exclusively left field.
Yeah,
and all. He's played center field I think 3 times in the last month, and then he's played right field. The last time he played right field was May 2nd.
Yeah, they clearly had a plan for him to be the left fielder. And Fenway
doesn't
Park
mean he
right
can't
field,
play right field.
Yes,
can't play right field.
He's very athletic. He'll be fine. But also, Fenway Park right field is the hardest right field in baseball. Like, that is not a fun right field to play. So, like, if he makes a mistake out there, I don't want to see people flipping out. I don't want to see people getting mad if he has a 2-3 strikeout game. I mean, we saw it literally Christian Campbell's first at-bat in the majors. He had a bad swing, and people were like, oh, this guy's not ready. And then Marcelo Meyer struck out 3 times in his debut, and it was like, oh, this guy's not ready. They're 21, 22 years old. Let them make mistakes. Let them learn. If the Red Sox don't make the playoffs this year, that sucks. But like that was the goal at the start of the year. The way this season has gone, it would be great if they do. The goal at this point is to get these core guys to play together, figure it out at a major league level, and be ready to take over the world in 2026. So just have fun. That is what I'm asking from fans. Have fun, because this is the most exciting core the Red Sox have had possibly in my lifetime. I mean, like 2003, they had, Nomar and Manny Ramirez and Jason Varitek. But like, I don't know if you can really.
It is different, though.
Yeah, I don't know if you can really call that like a core. For one thing,
homegrown core, though.
For one thing, Nomar was the only true homegrown.
You could have argued 2018 with like Mookie, but like the thing with that is like between like Mookie and Bogarts, but then on to like kind of Devers coming up, Benintendi, they weren't kind of all this group together.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like a guy here, a guy here, a guy here, a guy here, and they kind of like if you layered it together, you see like them all kind of, but like it wasn't like in this case where
where they're all 21, 22. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like also too, like last year, like with this, the Red Sox had at the same time Campbell, Meyer, Anthony, and Teal all together. Remember Kyle Teal? Shout out Kyle Teal. I know he's not with the Red Sox anymore, but he just got called up to the big leagues.
Had 3 hits in his debut. Good for him.
Yep. And we saw, and now there's Meyer, Anthony, and Campbell with the Red Sox. Shout out Chase Myjoff. He's in the big leagues with the White Sox, being amazing, right? So like all those guys have made their debuts this season, right? And I know Matthew Lugo made his debut this year. And there's been a bunch of guys, but like a lot of guys in this Red Sox system are they're coming up together. And we talked about it for so long with Roman, with Marcelo, with Kyle Teal, that these guys are growing through the minor leagues together, and they're going to get to the big leagues together. And we're seeing it now. Obviously, Kyle Teal isn't with the team anymore. They use them to get, as part of the package, to get Garrett Crochet, which has been a win-win trade on both sides. I mean, Garrett Crochet's been amazing, right? But like you adding Christian Campbell into the mix, Meyer and Roman are still together, and like they're all up in the big leagues together. They're all rookies this year. Yes, Meyer and Roman still might be rookies next year, depending on who knows what, right? But the point is, they've all made their debuts this year. Roman now is going to make his debut today, and we haven't seen a group come up together like this. And in some ways, like it does somewhat suck for, like I'll put it like this: Chaim Bloom had his faults, but the fact that he's not around to see this group debut together, when he's the one who
feels
really
so criminal, man.
It's really so, like, and don't get me wrong, Chaim had his faults, right? Everyone does, and it doesn't mean Chaim shouldn't doesn't mean I don't like Craig Breslow, but it is a little bit like it's like the guy who put the talent together, the guy who put the talent to like on the team outside of Braden Montgomery for them to go get Garrett Crochet. He's not there anymore, and it's like all his guys are coming up, and I know they're not just like Chaim's guys, because there's a lot of other people in the front office. Paul Taboni, for example, playing a big role.
Eddie Romero.
But yeah, exactly, right. There's other people in the front office, but it is kind of the head of the operation.
Someone in the system actually texted me. Pretty cool. Former scout Willie Rome, who he signed Casas and Cutter Crawford, also signed Roman Anthony and Brian Van Belle. So really cool day for that guy. Apparently he's a former scout, so he's not with the team anymore. But like the 2 people he signed got called up today, so that's a big day for him. And
Van Belle especially.
Yeah.
Which I know we're gonna get to Van Belle definitely, but like this is part of the fun thing about the minor leagues, right? Since we started this minor league show, what episode of the minor league show did you say it was, Hunter? Before we
this is number 85.
85, the 85th minor league episode here for the Pesky Report. This is the fun of the minor leagues, right? You get to see we obviously we started the show after Meyer had already been in the system for a year. Roman, it was his. In hockey terms, they call it the draft plus 1 year. It's the year after he was drafted. Like this is very so. Roman's first full season was the first full season. It was the first year we did this show, right? Christian Campbell got drafted that year, right? Mm-hmm. So this is very much something where, like, as I don't want to like say like we're like this is a joy for us doing the show, but like it is too, because since we started doing the show, these guys have grown and gone from literal teenagers into full-blown big leaguers, and hopefully at the end of the day, 5 years down the line, we'll still be doing the show and we'll be looking at, these guys are getting big-time contracts and they're big-time players for a Red Sox team that has hopefully already won a World Series, or if not, is winning a World Series. And that's what makes it so fun. And just because Roman's out of the minor leagues, we have a lot of guys to talk about. We will get to them, but like just for throwing out names like Franklin Arias, Luis Perales once he's healthy, run down the list, right? Yeah. There's still a lot of other guys in minor leagues that are really fun, and we hope that they're all going to get called up one day by the Red Sox. Obviously, it's the sad truth is that's not going to happen, but that's what makes these moments so special, when you get to see a guy go from being drafted all the way through the minor leagues and then getting that call to the big leagues, especially too when it's a guy like Roman Anthony who, like, yes, he's the number 1 prospect in baseball right now. You know how many teams wish they could go back to that draft and take Roman Anthony?
Yeah, everyone. Literally everyone. That's not like they took him with the 7th overall pick. literally every single team had a chance to draft Roman Anthony.
Yeah,
Every
and
single
now
team.
maybe there might have been signing concerns from some teams, or maybe there could have been.
I don't think anyone. I think obviously, if any team knew now, I think they would throw all of their draft money on him and just be like, I don't care that we don't get anyone else.
For sure. And this isn't. It's not like Roman was like some, out of the guys the Red Sox drafted that year. I think it was the highest ranked guy, but he was still ranked. I think MiLB Pipeline had him ranked like 56th heading into the draft. Red Sox took him at 79. Obviously, they gave him a $2.5 million signing bonus, which, that would have put him right at the end of the first round. The last pick actually that was higher than Roman Anthony's signing bonus was the Rays first round pick, which I just find hilarious. I don't like. They're like. Don't get me wrong. There are some teams here who probably aren't that like the Orioles with Jackson Holiday. I don't think they're that upset, right? They have the number one pick. They took a guy in Jackson Holiday who looks like he's gonna be really good, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But there are probably some teams here who are looking at this like, you know what? Maybe it would have been nice to have had Roman Anthony. But I think that's also makes it so special. Like he's gone from a guy who was the third pick by the Red Sox in the draft to being the number one prospect in baseball. I think that really kind of speaks volumes to Roman and also to the Red Sox development. I don't want to go too long on Roman, but like I feel like in some ways
it's fine. We can go very long.
We have to.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think anyone
kind of have to. No, because like the other thing too is, it's just the whole, like I said, the whole process. It is special, and now also too the Red Sox, the MLB draft's coming up in barely over a month too. Like this is good. This gets to be the fun point in the season. We're hitting the midseason swing. The draft's coming up, the trade deadline's coming up, which can be a little bit scary, but not necessarily, because we still want the big league team to do well, right? So if we have to sacrifice some guys we like to get some good big league talent, it's unfortunately what we have to do. But having a guy like Roman Anthony, like I said, he was the 79th pick in the draft, right? And now he's number one prospect in baseball. Literally the entire year. I'm not counting Roki Sasaki. Roki Sasaki was not a prospect. No. The fact that he's considered a prospect by some was insane.
I think if you play professional baseball in another league, you should not be.
No,
you should not be a prospect.
Absolutely not.
I get it.
So,
no service same level as the majors, but like you could still be a rookie. I don't think you should count as a prospect. I think
it's like calling Yamamoto. It was like if Yamamoto had like come over a year earlier, after 2 Triple Crowns, 2 Cy Youngs, 2 MVPs instead of just the 3, he would have still been considered a prospect because he would have because he would have signed an amateur deal. Stupid. Yeah. But besides the point. But it is besides the point. It's just it is but also too, it's funny too. He went to the same high school as Anthony Rizzo and Jesus Luzardo. Mm-hmm. I don't think either of those are holding the title for best player to come out of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School.
No,
don't think so.
Yeah, Anthony Rizzo had a very good career. Like that is not an easy person to top out, but Roman Anthony's got a lot of time to take the crown. He's 21. He just turned 21 years old.
So here's the other thing. Here's the other thing too on that too. I did want to get to that eventually. Guy who just turned 21 years old in Roman Anthony. You have to consider this core of the Red Sox team. Marcelo's only 22. Christian Campbell, he's only 22. He's the oldest out of all of them. He turns 23 in a couple of weeks. I think June 28th. So he's the oldest out of them. He's still only 22 though. It's a very young team, right? And even like Wilyer is mid 20s. Off the top of my head, 25? I think
25. I think he's 25.
Yeah, and then Sadon's 24, right? Yep. Like this is a really, really young Red Sox team. Even Narvaez, who's 26, like that's still that's still relatively young. This Red Sox team, you can start kind of picturing. When we say that you could picture the core, like their next core, we've been saying it for a while, but like now you can really picture it. They're all in the big leagues. This is obviously, you can look at the pitching side of things and go, feel a little bit iffy about it. But on terms of the position player side of things, their core looks solid, like rock solid. You run through the guys, and not everyone. Christian Campbell, do we necessarily know what position he's going to play long term? No, not necessarily. Marcelo Meyer most likely is going to be a shortstop, but like Who knows? Maybe he plays so good at third base. They're just like, oh, we think you're going to be a goal at third baseman. We're just going to keep you there. You looked amazing, right? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but weirder things have happened, so I don't want to, throw anything. I don't want to say he's like locked to move back to shortstop because if he looks amazing at third, maybe they just keep him there. But like, there's so much youth, and like Duran and Devers are two of their oldest players. Duran's 28, Rafi's 28. They're both like in their primes.
Yeah.
If not entering their primes. And they're considered to be the old guys of this team, minus like Trevor Story in terms of position players. Also, too, I didn't even mention Tristan Casas, which hopefully he gets healthy and is back to 100%. Although it sucks because that is a massive if, right? But, hopefully, right? And then not to kind of get too far down the line, they have another prospect on the 40-man roster in AAA, and Yastinson Garcia. Like,
I said it to multiple people when he got called up to AAA. I texted multiple people and I said, everyone's like screaming for Roman Anthony and saying like, you need to make room for Roman Anthony. I said, by July, there are going to be people saying you need to make room for Yastinson Garcia. And he has made me look very smart so far. He has been absurd in AAA. Yeah, but I mean, and it's not just him. I mean, yeah, you said it on the 40-man, but like Bleis Jordan had a ridiculous week, his first week in AAA.
Yep.
Like, and he's a first baseman, which Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez have been phenomenal. But they are both players where if they came back down to earth, no one would be shocked. Like there is a legitimate first base option for later this year if they need it. And then, like you mentioned with Marcelo Meyer, maybe they think he's a Gold Glove third baseman. Obviously, this is not right now, but you have Franklin Arias and High A being one of the best hitters in the minor leagues. Like he has a legitimate chance to win the minor league MVP award that Christian Campbell won last year.
Which is absurd to have back to
back is absurd. Yes. Like there is this ridiculously clear path of it's probably not going to happen because that's just not how team building works. But there is a real path to the Red Sox having literally just an entire diamond filled of homegrown guys. And then they can figure out the pitching staff where it's like Garrett Crochet, Hunter Dobbins, and that's where they make other big signings for the pitching side of things. Yeah. But like there is, like you said, this is going to be such an interesting trade deadline because they have these pieces in now. So now it's going to depend on what the team's success is because there are very tradable pieces. Like they could get a lot for Aroldis Chapman. He has been prime Aroldis Chapman this year, like ridiculous. A lot of teams would overpay for his services. You have someone like Jarren Duran, who the team clearly does not seem to want to invest in him. Like they bought out his arbitration. That was like a weird. It's like they didn't even buy out the full arbitration, right? Isn't it just like 2 years and he's got technically 3 left? Or well, now he has 2, but they bought it like at the beginning of the year. I don't know. Either way, they don't seem like they are interested in giving him a long-term contract.
I just realized Ryan Noda got DFA'd. So
yes,
I forgot.
Which he was crushing it.
He was playing amazing.
So I don't think he's going to clear waivers. No. I'd imagine someone's going to pick him up, which sucks because he was looking like some legitimate depth.
It gives Nathan Hickey more playing time.
But it gives Bleis Jordan, like I think he is now the full-time first baseman. And then it gets
he's split between first and third. Yeah. Because actually, so Sox Process has a really cool thing where you can go to they have a lineup section, and you can sort by go to whichever team. Mm-hmm. So for example, at Worcester, you can look at the last few games at first base. It's been Noda, Hickey, Bleis, Noda, Bleis, and then Hickey. So Hickey's only played 2 games this month at first. He did catch for the first time in a while.
Yeah, and he hit a homer.
I wonder too. I wonder if it is a part though. I wonder if that was more of a part of Grandal being on the restricted list. It seems like Grandal might be retiring.
Yes, I mean he said he was technically,
but he hasn't officially the paperwork hasn't officially been filed or anything. So you never know.
Maybe it's one of those things where he's hoping they're like, crap, here we'll call you up to the majors. Don't do
it. Connor Wong, Phantom IL, call up Yasmani Grandal for one last call. Maybe the White Sox will call him. They called Teal up. Dang it. But Noda played right field twice this past week, right? So like there is a little bit of a log jam at first base now with Bleis being there. And maybe that shows that they have faith in Bleis Jordan if they need a first baseman. Like maybe that shows they have.
They should have faith in him.
It absolutely should.
I think it also shows faith in Toro and Gonzalez. I think they're like, you know what, Abraham Toro has been 100 times better than we expected, and yeah, he's also playing third, like you said. But like, yes. I think at this point they're like, we're fine with them until the wheels fall off because. Yeah. They've and
if the wheels fall off at that point, is the team even playing good at that point? Like who knows?
And in Romy Gonzalez's defense, this is what he's done since getting here. Like he was good last year too. I get very mad on Twitter because it seems like once a week, whenever the Red Sox are sucking, I will see 50 people tweet out like, "Get Romy Gonzalez off my team," and I'm like,
Romy's not the problem.
Why is he the problem? He is like a depth bench guy. That's hitting
why I don't get people saying Rafaela is like, we'll just move Rafaela off center field and have him play like shortstop because Story's. I'm like, Rafaela moving to shortstop is not not like moving Rafaela out of center field is not like the solvent. It's not how you're solving all your problems.
Moving the best defensive outfielder out of the outfield is a weird choice. I get it.
Yes.
You can play shortstop, but
doesn't mean you'd want to do that. But like at that point, you might have like at that point that's like, oh well, you know. You might as well just put Marcelo at shortstop at that point, put Rafael at second, and Campbell can go play like third base or something, or he can go play first, and I don't know, Yacinson Garcia can go play third because why not? You know, like it's or Connor Wong's gonna go play third base. There you go.
Yeah, they'll make sure to get him in the lineup.
And he's gonna have one of those little league special pinch hitters where they only hit for him, and then it's gonna be like, oh yeah, like David Ortiz is coming out of retirement to swing, and then they're gonna have a pinch runner that as soon as the ball gets hit runs the bases.
Dude, that was always my dream when I played Little League was for me to be the designated fielder. I always wanted to do that because I was so bad at hitting, but I was so good in the
Imagine if they had a special pinch runner like in Little League. David Hamilton would be
he just stands in the box and he's like, I'm ready to.
No. Well, in Little League, they have a special pinch runner where if someone gets on base, you can pinch run for them, but they only come to the game to pinch run, and then that player who hit comes back in the game like. It gets to stay in the field. Like David Hamilton might be the most valuable player in baseball. Or no, Chandler Simpson probably, but like Hamilton maybe is probably second. That's like train your kid to be a long snapper, train your kid to be the special pinch runner.
There is a weird situation that's going to come up at some point whenever Alex Bregman gets healthy, because
and Williams.
Marcelo Meyer, but at this point. Like I said, I think whatever happens, Roman Anthony's they're going to have to figure that out. It's going to be harder with Bregman because Trevor Story's playing better right now, which is awesome. But even with him playing better, unless he goes on some absurd tear and when Bregman comes back, all of a sudden Trevor Story's like 280, 370, 500 or 450 with like 20 homers and 20 steals, and he's back to playing elite defense. I don't think anyone's going to be calling for Trevor Story. So it's not like you can trade him. Like there are easy trade options in the outfield where it's like you could call a team about any of the three starting outfielders right now and they will pick up the phone happily. I don't see that happening.
Padres will eat some of Story's money to take Duran because like apparently I know it's funny. I was fooling around on baseball trade values this morning just because like the Padres don't want Duran, but they don't want to give up their top two prospects. The only way they could do that is if they eat Story. But then they also want to get rid of Bogarts. So I'm like, what if they also give us Bogarts and just pay basically all of his money?
Pay his contract.
That'll make that'll make Raffy happy.
Yes.
You know, Bogarts can, I guess, play, or Bogarts can go play third, and Meyer can go back to short, or figure it out. I don't know, but like, they'll make Raffy happy.
Yes.
Bogarts has already shown he's willing to move to second base if they want. Like, if Campbell, they want to put Campbell at first base, maybe Bogarts will go play first base. Who knows? We're going way off on a tangent.
But when Bregman comes back, there's going to be like, they're not moving Bregman. Maybe at the trade deadline, if they don't think they can re-sign him, which personally, I think you do whatever you can to re-sign Alex Bregman. He was phenomenal. He's like the perfect veteran to have with all these young guys. He's won multiple championships. He in the playoffs every single year. He knows what he's doing. But maybe if they're like, oh, we're out of the playoffs, Bregman's clearly not going to re-sign because we suck, whatever it is. Maybe they move him, but I don't see that happening. So then it's like now Marcelo Meyer has to shift to shortstop. So are you DFAing Trevor Story? Are you putting him on the bench? Are you platooning? Like, is it like actually a full-time platoon for Marcelo Meyer, like announced? Like, yeah, they're kind of doing it already, but at this point it would be like, hey, yes, we're platooning him. Which at least he's a left-handed hitter. They're going to face a lot more righties than lefties. There will be weeks like this week though, where it's just annoying because you see Meyer out of the lineup 4 times. But it's a much more difficult situation than it is with Anthony because the pieces aren't nearly as movable as the outfield pieces. So like you said, maybe they package him and they kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone where it's like, hey, we freed up the outfield and the shortstop situation.
Obviously, I'm joking about that, but yes.
I mean, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but the issue with that is then you're not getting a good return probably. Like it's the issue with the Mookie Betts deal. They could have gotten so much for Mookie Betts, even with him on the last year of his contract and saying, I'm going to test free agency. The only reason he didn't test free agency is because COVID happened. And all of a sudden he was just like, I don't know if there's going to be baseball. Let me sign a contract, which just miserable timing for the Red Sox. Because if they would have just waited 2 months to trade him, they could have gotten him on a very team-friendly deal and never had to worry about it.
If the Red Sox were willing to give him that much money.
Yes,
There's also that question. Because considering how much money they spent post-pandemic.
Yes, that's fair. But you're in that was the issue with the Mookie deal is instead of getting so much for Mookie, you threw in David Price, who was it was getting a lot of money and teams did not want, and he was dealing with injuries.
They limited although they ate like a big chunk of that Price contract, half of it, right, to get rid of Price. They limited their trade suitors because of throwing in that Price deal.
And that would be the same thing.
Because value-wise, it was only 1 year of Mookie.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, were they going to get a Juan Soto level package, like, from when the Nationals traded Juan Soto? No. But they limited their suitors.
They still would have gotten so much more.
Though. Oh, no, they would have. But, like, I think the issue was they limited their suitors, which then it really was, like, Dodgers and who? Because who's eating that much money? Because Mookie was making, like, 27 that year, and Price – even with his, like, he was still at, like...
He was the highest paid pitcher of all time at the time, right? I think he's still the highest paid left-handed pitcher. Or maybe he's like, now or something.
It was like $31 million a year, I think it was. So it was like, or 32 or something stupid like that. So it was like 16, 17 a year, the Red Sox, that, like, the Dodgers took on for Price. And it was, like, kind of absurd. The other thing, too, though, like, in terms of, like, this young core, I think, too, like, us as Red Sox fans need to kind of like redefine what we're looking for. And two, because everyone, when Heim came in and, you know, being of like lineage from Tampa, and it didn't help that Andrew Friedman also was, you know, a Tampa exec before going to the Dodgers. So it was, we're going to try to replicate the Dodgers. One, the Dodgers are different. They're the Dodgers, right? It's a little bit different. Two, people then were like, they got Court. We're going to try and do the Astros thing. The Red Sox cannot go through a rebuild where they lose that and are that bad for that long. If anything, you almost have to kind of almost do what the Astros have done the last couple of years, where they've had to make some really tough decisions in terms of letting Correa walk, letting Bregman walk, etc. But then they have the homegrown talent behind them to where they replace them with Pena, with, I know obviously they traded Kyle Tucker and they brought in Cam Smith and Isaac Paredes, but like you look at the Astros roster, that's a ton of homegrown guys. I was actually talking with Jason about this earlier. The Astros pitching, I don't know if anyone's noticed this. They are entirely homegrown minus like 2 people in terms of their starting pitchers. You look at their starting pitchers, they're healthy starting pitchers. They're all homegrown except for Brandon Walter, which shout out Brandon Walter. But Walter was a free agent pickup after the Red Sox released him. Everyone else in their current rotation is homegrown. And then you look at their injured starting pitchers. They are all homegrown as well, outside of Hayden Wesneski, who they got also in the Kyle Tucker trade. So I guess the extension of the homegrown player, I guess, because they got it back in the trade. I'm just like, you look at Houston's roster and it's homegrown players left and right. It's actually kind of absurd. And I'm not saying like it's an exact form of the copy. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is the amount of homegrown players that Houston has been able to develop, even when they're not the highest ranked prospects. Framber Valdez was never an absurdly high ranked prospect. but he is the model of consistency for a starting pitcher, right? From 2021 until present day, he's third in the major leagues in ERA.
Yeah.
Among starting pitchers. Like, it will never be a top 3 starting pitcher on a year-to-year basis. But over that stretch of time, the third lowest ERA, right? Model of consistency. But was never a highly ranked prospect, right? And you look at a lot of those guys, and a lot of guys, the Astros, Hunter Brown, 5th-round draft pick, right?
Which the Red Sox have a lot of those guys, too. That, like, in
exactly.
2 years, you have, Connolly early, David Sandlin, Luis Perales, obviously, when he gets healthy. Obviously, there's guys already up in the majors, like Hunter Dobbins. Yes. Richard Fitz, obviously, is back in AAA. But, like, there are a ton of options.
Clark, Tolley.
In high A alone.
Valera.
Tolley, Juan Valera, Eduardo Rivera.
Exactly.
There's just a stupid amount of pitching talent.
And that's kind of the point I'm getting towards, too, in some sense, where it's like, it doesn't always, like, having the big process are great, too. But also, too, you have the other prospects who can make an impact at the big leagues, a la Hunter Dobbins, who 8th-round draft pick, nothing like crazy, was never like a ranked prospect in terms of never even a top 100 guy. He's been their second best starting pitcher this year, right? Like, that says something. And two, like, you need to have a team. And I think, too, some people compared, like, the Red Sox getting Crochet to, like, 2017, them getting Sale. The difference is those teams were a lot of homegrown talent on those teams, and they made the big moves to fill in those last holes they had. Right now, it sometimes feels like the Red Sox are making those big moves, like Bregman, like Crochet, etc., to get the team to the point where the young players have to fill in the holes. Yeah. And that's not how it should be, right? Christian Campbell shouldn't be asked to be the opening day second baseman and be an all-star from the jump. Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer shouldn't have to be the saviors of the team, right? But in a couple years, those guys are most likely going to be the core that when you add on that big piece, completes the team, right? Yes. And I think that's what you're looking at with this. You can kind of outlook that to the future and be like, hey, like, we have all these homegrown guys, position player side and pitching side. Because you look at the Astros from 2019 when they had Cole and Verlander, and I think they still had Greinke that year as well. Like, that was amazing. But then you go look at their 2022 team, and you see, like, the Framber Valdez and Luis Garcia, and that team won the World Series, right? And you start kind of adding in the homegrown guys, too. Like, you look at the Red Sox in 3-4 years, they might have a legitimate, almost outside of, like, Crochet, it could be a full homegrown rotation. If everything pans out, right?
Yeah. Obviously,
that's not necessarily going to happen.
But yes.
That doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? And they can definitely go out this offseason and maybe get a big starting pitcher to be that number 2 behind Crochet. Doesn't mean they can't do that. But that 3, 4, 5, that rotation very well could be home. I mean, Tanner Houck last year, right? Obviously, I know this year has been shaky for him. Now he's injured. But, like, I still have faith that Tanner Houck can be a solid starting pitcher in the rotation, right? So
you can even throw in Cutter Crawford, who people were not happy about last year at times. Fans are begging for him right now. Yes. Getting Cutter Crawford back would be huge because he will give you 5-6 innings. They're not always going to be the prettiest 5-6 innings, but he will get you 5-6 innings and give the team a chance to win, which last year sometimes annoyed people. It was like, oh, Cutter Crawford gave up 4 runs in 6 innings and 3 of them were off. The issue with him was the home runs. I think that's what annoyed people.
Yes.
If it would be one thing if he gave up 4 runs in 6 innings, people would be like, oh, it wasn't great, but it was fine. But it was when it was like, oh, but 3 of them were solo shots. I think that's what really pissed people off. But yeah, people would be begging for a starter who's going to give you at least 5 innings every time right now.
Yeah. But then you start to, like, the organizational outlook. You look at the Red Sox starting, like, pitching rotation. Like, if they, like, guys like Houck and Belle and Crawford and Center are nice because, one, they're young, homegrown, but that also means they're cheap.
Yeah.
Like, the Buehlers and Giolitos of the world aren't cheap.
At all.
And not at all. And here's the biggest thing. The Aroldis Chapmans, the Kenley Jansens, even Chris Martin to an extent, getting back in relievers in free agency is not cheap, right?
No.
Especially even aging ones that you sign like a 1 or 2 year deal, like, they're not cheap, right? You know how nice it would be to have a homegrown closer just step in, like, minimum salary, just throwing bullets and being a really good closer. A la Jonathan Papelbon was, like, the last, like, homegrown legitimate reliever I can remember off the top of my head. Like, the Red Sox haven't had that, right?
Yeah.
Imagine Luis Guerrero turns into that, and Guerrero's making $1 million, and he's your closer, and, you know, now you don't have to spend that $11 million on Chapman and the $19 million on Giolito and the however like 20 or whatever it was on Buehler. Now you can go spend that money elsewhere and actually, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, organizational outlook with the farm system, with these guys coming up, with Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell, even guys like Rafael, who his extension, in all honesty, really is not expensive at all.
No, not at all.
Even Campbell's isn't expensive. You know, Duran, Abreu, we'll see what happens with them, right? Because seems like one of them might get traded at some point. But like, you put the young pieces together. Narvaez, I can't believe I didn't even say Narvaez. You start putting the young pieces together, and you have a legitimate core that you can kind of build from. And then you add in the minor league picture. Then you add in the fact that they are the Red Sox. They're still going to spend money. The outlook is very bright. Let's not start putting expectations on the team, but the outlook is very bright. And I think that's the one thing that we've been looking at since Bloom came in. It was like, oh, well, they might, in 3, 4, 5 years, they're going to be really good. We're 4 or 5 years from that, and they're lingering around 500, under 500. But now I feel like you can kind of, and some work it's not like Breslow's done nothing. It's not like he just took what Heim did and just did nothing, and it's turned like Breslow has put in, work as the CBO. Not every decision, every guy who runs the front office is going to be the perfect decision. But the Red Sox have an outlook that looks really exciting.
I've liked a lot of his decisions. I haven't liked his personality. That's been my issue, is the way he talks to the media, the fact that he seems so shut in. Obviously, the Roman Anthony comments really pissed me off. But, like, you could argue that he didn't, like, I'm pretty sure he basically came out and said he didn't want to sign Bregman. Like, that seemed more like a Alex Cora and John Henry were kind of, like, strong-armed him into, like, hey, dude, he's still available. Let's sign him. Like, what are we doing? But, like, he did end up getting them Alex Bregman. He made the trade for Carlos Narvaez, who at the time people were like, okay, catching depth. That's obviously been phenomenal. Like you mentioned earlier, Kyle Teal going up to Chicago. He had a great debut. Chase Mydroth's there. Braden Montgomery's been phenomenal for them in the minors. Obviously, the Red Sox got Garrett Crochet back. We're very happy. They're very happy. It still stings a little bit seeing those guys do great. Obviously, I'd prefer to have the best pitcher in baseball. Especially with how much young talent the Red Sox have. But the sting is lessened so much by the fact that Carlos Narvaez has been the second best catcher in the AL this year. It sucks that Kyle Teal looks like he's going to be. It doesn't suck that Kyle Teal looks like he's going to be awesome for Chicago. That's awesome for him. That's awesome for them. It sucks as a Red Sox fan seeing this guy who like you got so excited about, proving that he is that guy. But it doesn't hurt nearly as much when it's like, all right, well, we just have the guy that hit a massive home run against the Yankees to help us take a series in the Bronx, all while being one of the best defensive catchers in baseball.
Would also sting less if the Red Sox were winning a lot more games. There's also that side of it.
Yes. But yeah, they have this core. They have all these pieces in place. Again, I already kind of touched on it, and you just mentioned how you think, Wilyer or Duran probably going to get traded. And it feels like Twitter is shifting more towards being okay with that. But there's still a lot of people that will get angry if you throw either of their names into a trade discussion. I don't think anyone will complain. One, obviously, if Roman comes up and plays well. And two, if you can get a starting pitcher, like, again, that has been the problem for the Boston Red Sox. And it's going to be hard.
Cost-controlled one, too, at that.
Yeah, it's going to be hard because a team that is looking for one of those guys is probably a team that wants to win right now. So, unless they just have that much pitching.
I hate to say it, but the Phillies are the perfect trade partner.
Yes, if you can get
Durant
or
Andrew Painter.
Yeah. If you can get one of them off of that. Did you see those Bleacher Report trades? My God. If any team offers the Red Sox any of those deals for Jarren Duran, do it before they can change their mind. It was like literally the Phillies one was like Jarren Duran straight up for Andrew Painter, Mick Abel, and like 3 of their top 10 prospects. I was like, I wouldn't
have taken Painter and Abel. Why do you take those two by themselves?
Prime Juan Soto, they're treating him like he's prime Barry Bonds getting traded.
Also, but here's the thing though, if you're but the Red Sox, if you're the Red Sox, they are going to have to make tough decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It's the nature of the business, and that's why I kind of want to compare it to the current day Astros. they've had to make a lot of tough decisions. Those that like the Astros over the last few years, trading Kyle Tucker. Hello, this is a guy who's potentially a top 5 in MVP voting this year. They traded him away when they're still trying to win. They're not rebuilding and going, oh, we're gonna go. They're still trying to win, right? They let Correa walk. The same offseason they traded Kyle Tucker. They let Bregman walk, right? Like they have had to make a lot of tough decisions. They let Garrett Cole walk, right? Although I think Garrett Cole was probably wanting to go to the Yankees anyways, considering his history as a Yankees fan. But that guy can go, fuck Kermit the Frog or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's such a nerd. I love the fact that he's on the Yankees because I want to hate Yankees players.
I want to hate him.
And I like
the
Aaron,
only
I think
good
Aaron Judge
redeeming quality about Garrett Cole is he hated some other pitcher who once pitched for the Dodgers and the Reds.
Yes,
and the
yes,
Guardians.
I give
That's
him
the
a lot
only
of credit
redeeming
that
quality.
He hates Trevor Bauer, and everyone in the world should hate Trevor Bauer.
That's the only redeeming quality.
But I know Red Sox fans aren't high on Jazz Chisholm right now because he was making comments and stuff. He was doing but I agree with what he said that there should be trash talk in baseball. He kind of then during the interview was weird and all of a sudden acting like he hated the comments when he tweeted out earlier that he liked the comments. But I think he just very.
The Red Sox need a fire lit under their ass a little bit.
Yes.
Though.
I think he liked being on the mic and he was excited and he tried to do that spinning play that he did not need to make. But he just seemed excited. There's a lot of players.
He's a showman, and it makes sense. His name is Jazz. If he wasn't a showman, I don't know. The name wouldn't make any sense.
There's a lot of players on that team that I don't mind. There's players that I like. There, obviously being minor league guys, I go to a lot of Yankees minor league games because I'll go to the Somerset games. So I see, and I'm like, oh, I remember seeing Austin Wells and being like, oh, this guy's probably going to be really good. I remember seeing Augustin Ramirez and thinking this guy's an absolute freak and being so. I hated that the Yankees got Jazz Chisholm because I was like, I think he's good and I think he's cool. But I loved the fact that Augustin Ramirez was in that trade because I was terrified of him becoming just an absolute demon for the Yankees. So there were 2 guys on the Yankees that I did not like: Nestor Cortez, nerd, and Garrett Cole, nerd. Nestor Cortez is gone. So I was like, man, now but Garrett Cole lives on.
Garrett Cole.
I'm excited for Garrett Cole to be healthy again so Rafael Devers can hit more moon bombs and
be his daddy.
Oh, darn it, on the mound.
For Pete's sake.
Oh, Pete's sake. But I don't know how we got onto this.
I don't know. No, we're talking about the future of the Red Sox.
Yes.
The Red Sox have made the Yankees look a little bit stupid to trade sometimes. Can we also mention the fact that Elmer Rodriguez Cruz is ranked as the Yankees' number 3 prospect?
He has been phenomenal for them.
I'm not saying he hasn't been.
But yeah, that's crazy.
Yankees fans want to tell the last 2-3 years. The Yankees farm system's good. The Red Sox farm system isn't that good. I know a couple of Yankees fans that were trying to tell me that the Yankees farm system was better than the Red Sox farm system. I'm like, just because you have Jason Dominguez, who isn't as good as you make him out to be, because you're making him out to be the second coming of Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle combined. It's Yankees prospects somehow end up being the most overhyped prospects. That the ones that are actually rated properly, you're unsure of because even national media overhypes them. I mean,
we all watched that ESPN game. It was genuinely like a meme. The Red Sox, Rafael Devers hits a home run to make it a 7-run game, and they're like, "Oh, Aaron Judge, let's look at his home run from the first inning again." When Christian Campbell hit his home run, to tie the game, the next inning they were still showing replays of the Aaron Judge home run. They were talking about Aaron Judge covering.
To be fair, there isn't really anyone to talk about on the Yankees outside of him right now, but
I mean, yes, but talk about the rookie hitting a 2-run homer in his first game or his first series against the Yankees to tie the game up.
Who was struggling too? And that's a big moment.
Instead, they're talking about the guy that everyone knows is the greatest player in the world right now. Like what?
And to be fair, there's nothing wrong with celebrating how great Aaron Judge has been.
Yes, I agree
because he's been amazing. But
that whole broadcast was
the
whole broadcast was them talking about.
Don't be Ben Verlander when it comes to Shohei Ohtani.
Miserable. The whole broadcast though was them talking about the Hunter Dobbins quote or something about or praising the Yankees. It was absurd. Like the Red Sox come into the Bronx and take 2 out of 3, and they're like, oh, but Aaron Judge had a good series. Yay.
Yeah, and you know what's going to happen this upcoming Sunday as well? I don't know. I have an inkling suspicion. I don't know if the game's set to be on ESPN or not, but it feels like every year that Sunday game on Father's Day ends up on ESPN. And I have a bad feeling that if it's not already on ESPN, it's somehow going to end up on ESPN, and it scares the living crap out of me that I'm going to have to deal with it again. Oh, apparently it's not. Thank you. I was about to say, because every single year that game ends up on ESPN. I think the Saturday game is still on Fox, but it's Red Sox and Yankees are always national TV, and it kind of infuriates me because it's like, can I get a Nesson broadcast, please? Come on. I'll just throw that out there. But no, we do have some stuff. We're an hour in, and we haven't even talked about Brian Van Belle. We said we were going to get to probably like 5 times that we're going to get to him. We haven't yet.
Again, like we said at the start of the show, like before we recorded, we wanted to we were so excited to talk about him. We thought it would open up the show and we'd talk about it for a while, and then bam, Roman Anthony news, and it's like, all right, well, this is going to take up. We're over an hour into the show.
If every Red Sox fan doesn't put the ones up when Roman Anthony goes up to bat, I'm actually going to be sad. It's not going to happen, but like we need more Red Sox and wrestling crossover because like that would be so cool. Roman Anthony comes up and everyone just.
I need him to come out to that music, man. It's just too perfect.
Gosh. Can we reach out and like to like someone on the like just reach out to whoever plays like the music at Red Sox games and just be like, yo, can you just sneak this in here, please?
Override whatever music he asked you to play and put this on.
Override it.
I know when he first got called up to Double-A, he was using Stone Cold's music, and I was like, why? You're so close to the point and you're missing it. You're using a wrestling theme, but the wrong one. You're not using the guy literally named Roman.
To be fair, I mean, it would have made sense like if he was in Greenville and he was a right-handed hitter, it would have made a ton of sense. You know, go break some glass in the apartment.
Yeah. And I mean, he does hit the ball opposite field, so
but fair. Like, I mean, hey, I was starting to wonder at some point, like, does he somehow find a window to break in Worcester? Because, like,
I mean, that last
one that
might have killed someone. That might have killed someone.
So
some poor guy walking on the street. Here's a 116-mile-an-hour piss missile at your head.
Real quick, though. This is why if adults bring gloves to a game, don't get mad at them. I ain't trying to get my face broken.
Yeah,
okay?
that's fair. I'm
not saying
not a glove guy.
I'm
more of a let me hit my hand. I'll go out like a man.
I don't bring a glove. But like also too, like if you have like a kid, for example, bring a glove and protect that kid. Like I typically don't bring a glove to a game. But if I see a piss missile coming at me, I'm moving out of the way.
Yeah, right? I don't blame someone for not going after a 116-mile-an-hour ball with their bare hand. Like, there's a lot of if that's hit at a third baseman, he's probably not making the play.
No, well, like for example, last year, Jason and I we got standing room tickets on the Monster, and we did it at a night where luckily there were a lot of empty seats, so we moved up into the Monster seats. So we got like spaces and the Monster seats for like $40 a piece. But Tyler O'Neill hit a homer straight over our heads, and it was like a piss missile. Scariest moment of my life. Don't get me wrong, the ball was like 20 feet above us. And off the bat,
you were ready?
Shit myself. I almost shit myself. I was like, off the bat, and that ball's going like almost straight at me, and I'm like, and then just look up and just go.
I mean, literally this spring training, Peyton Tolley dropped one on the Monster at Fenway South at JetBlue. Like, even the athletes aren't making the plays. All his draftees were mocking him for it. But yeah, it's not easy, man.
No,
that first.
You're allowed to bring a glove unless your name is Zach Hampel.
Yes.
Yeah, then if you bring a glove, you should get jumped.
Yeah, top 20 worst person in the baseball world.
Top 20, more like top 3, and he's not 3, and he's not 1 because there's a special person.
Because Bauer's taking 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I mean, like the watching videos of that man like push past a child, and then the worst part is seeing people defend him in the comments. They're like, "What? He's not allowed to get a foul ball." He's like, no, he can get a foul ball.
Just don't push a kid.
He doesn't need to be throwing kids out of the. He's caught like 5,000 foul balls and home runs. Leave, dude.
No,
Leave.
the worst part is picking out like specific seats to ball hawk, and I'm just like, dude, I'm like, just like
grown ass
like,
man.
can we like what happens to just enjoying baseball?
Yeah.
Like,
but
also
that
too,
that first Roman home run at Fenway.
I swear. Here's the one thing I will say about them calling Roman up so quick. Zach Campbell doesn't have enough time to get to the
fair.
game.
Yeah, he's not there.
So Roman, please hit it tonight. Please. That's all I ask because I think Hampel caught Trout's first homer, I think, or he was close to it, I think, or he was trying to. But like that, I will say I don't like players getting called up and then immediately playing that day, like an hour and a half after they get to the ballpark. But in some cases, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with this one because that means Zach Campbell can't get to Fenway.
I think it's cool for the fact that it's like a
also red seat
cool
watch
surprise for the fans. Like, oh, I was going to the game anyway, and now Roman Anthony's playing.
But I would have liked Roman to have known ahead of time, though.
Yes, yeah. But also, I'd imagine he learned today because the news would have broke last night if he learned someone would have found out last night. So yeah, I'm assuming he found out before they left. I'm sure it was one of those like they were about to leave on the team bus and Chad Tracy was like, "Hey, everybody, before we do that, let's talk to Roman." I'm actually going to the games in Lehigh Valley this week. Little upset that Roman's not going to be there.
Little upset, but can't be that upset.
Also not super upset, but it's definitely something I'm going to ask is how that went down and the vibes and everything. But I'm sure there will be a good story. I'm sure people.
I think Marcelo Meyer said Roman Anthony's stuff is actually on the way to Lehigh Valley, so that's a
they'll have to figure that one out.
Yes,
but I'm sure that will get sorted out very quickly.
It'll get sorted out.
Yes,
it will get sorted out. But I will, and we do have to get to Brian Belle at some point. We have to. I
think we've said this like 4 times, and then we're just like, but also.
Yeah, but also, no, we do. But lastly, because Van Belle isn't officially in a game yet, Roman Anthony is actually in a game as of right now. So Roman Anthony has officially begun his MLB debut. Also, too, I just need to ask this. So they're now putting MLB debut patches on players' jerseys when they get their MLB debut. What happens if they get called up but they're a bench player? Do they put that patch on their jersey every single day until they make their debut?
I'm going to say yes.
Because
obviously, because you don't know if they're going to go into the game at some point. So exactly. Yeah, I'm going to say it's just on their jersey.
Unless they're like a starting pitcher, but still
you'd also assume if someone's getting called up, they're going to get called up and play within the first.
It could be like
days.
A 32-year-old who,
But even then,
or you get called up like Nate Eaton, and he just doesn't even get into a game.
Yeah, but I mean, he already made his MLB debut.
No, I know, but I'm making the point.
You'd assume if someone's getting called up, even if they're like a 29-year-old, they're going to get put into the game. I think especially if it's an older guy, the coach is going to find a way to be like, "Hey, you're pinch hitting in the 8th." Like,
unless you're in a 7-run
game. Yeah. But I think they're going to do their best to get them into a game.
That is true. It's just it very much is like it was a little bit like okay, like.
But Van Belle is an interesting one because he's clearly going to be bullpen depth. It's probably not going to happen, but like if Brian Bayo goes out there and throws a complete game, and then someone goes out there the next day and throws a complete game, and then someone goes out there the next day and throws a complete game, and it's like all of a sudden.
Tomorrow's Lucas Giolito. So,
hey man, he's gone 7 like twice this year.
He also could only go 2. Like
you genuinely never know what you're going to get with Lucas.
You genuinely need Van Belle in the bullpen right now.
He is the most. He's either going to give you 7 fantastic innings, or you're going to be down 14 runs.
We've also seen Bayo pitch like masterful games before, against the Yankees last year.
Yeah,
was 8 innings he won.
There's a lot of reason to believe in Brian Bayo at this point still. But yes, Brian Bayo
goes back to my homegrown point too.
Yes, it does. He is, I believe, 28 years old? Question mark.
Van Belle is 28, turns 29 September 3rd.
Okay. 28. Like I said, drafted in the 2020 draft. So, or not drafted, undrafted in the 2020 draft. So it's one of those situations where it's like he is an undrafted player, but he would have been absolutely drafted if it wasn't for the fact that was only 5 years or 5 rounds that year. So you're in that weird situation of like, it's obviously still a very cool story, but I feel bad calling him undrafted.
It was also
like
coming off of like the 40-round drafts as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
can we just
like,
say that was absurd?
Yeah,
that was.
that
I
was
understand they don't have as many minor league spots now, but still, 40.
Yeah,
right?
So
who watched from the 30th round on? I need a legitimate. Who watched from the 30th round onward? I remember hearing like the Red Sox had like Felipe Franks' draft rights. I'm like, who cares? He's making more money as a backup, as a third string quarterback than he would as a baller.
That was the most annoying part about the 40-round drafts, is it would be like, oh, Russell Wilson, who's one of the best quarterbacks in football in the NFL, the Yankees or the Rangers drafted him. I forget who. I think it was the Rangers.
Yeah.
In like the 30th round. And it was like, cool, man. He's not going to play. The Seahawks would kill him if he got.
He went to spring training with the Yankees.
Yeah.
And then got struck out by future Yankee at the time, Max Fried.
But that's wild. But like those were just such waste of draft picks. Like, I think Patrick Mahomes got drafted.
Yeah. Although he was supposed to be a decent baseball player, though.
I mean, his dad pitched for the Red Sox at one point. But still, like, it's there were a lot of like.
I think I could have maybe gotten drafted in that draft. I don't even play baseball in college.
There was a lot of like storyline picks where it was like, oh, we'll be in the news because of this. So that was ridiculous. But obviously, then 5 rounds was ridiculous. The other,
it's way. Like the great grandson of the 5th cousin of Ty Cobb.
But yeah, Brian Van Belle, phenomenal in AAA this year. 2.29 ERA, 2.40 batting average chance, 1.06 WHIP. Only 41 strikeouts in 51 innings, but only 7 walks. So that's one of those things you'll take the good with the bad there. And not that strikeouts are the end all be all, but he just doesn't miss a ton of bats is the real issue. Like, that's something that could destroy you in the majors. It can go, one of 2 ways. You could have the really good career like Kyle Hendricks, or you could do, Brian Johnson. Brandon Walter obviously has had moments, but like, there's a lot of guys where there are those immediate legitimate struggles because they're not missing a lot of bats. And it's like, there's too many good hitters in the majors where if you're not 100% locating, there's going to be issues. And it also doesn't help that he throws like 91, 92. He does not throw very hard. But for one thing, he can locate. Like, he's always been good at that. That has always been a big part of his game. With a lot of other people, that's something that it was a part of their game. Like, I feel bad because I feel like I'm throwing him under the bus. I'm mentioning him again. But like with Brandon Walter, when he got up to AAA, that was a big thing. It was like, oh, Brandon Walter doesn't walk people. And then he started walking people in AAA. Like, it became more of an issue for him. Even when he was struggling, Brian Van Belle was not walking people. And the other big thing is he had the best changeup in AAA this year. Like, just absolutely filthy. It's the pitch that does get a lot of swing and miss. Andrew Parker tweeted out, 27 balls hit on the ground over his last 2 starts. So that's fantastic. He's keeping the ball on the ground. And then Cooper Boardman, one of the Woo Sox booth guys, he tweeted out 70% strike rate, awesome. 52% ground ball rate, awesome. And then on his changeup, opponents are hitting 173 against it and have an average exit velo of 84 miles an hour. So like, that genuinely has been the best changeup in the minor leagues. So hopefully the Red Sox let him use it. Like we've seen with Brian Bayo, that they don't seem to want to let him use his changeup. And I know there's apparently like, oh, he's lost a little bit of a feel for it, but that was his elite pitch. And they kind of, their starts where he'll throw it like twice. And it's like, what are we doing here? They let him figure that pitch out again. So I'm hoping they let him use that pitch, because if he does, there is a legitimate chance that he could be a very good like long relief guy for them, which obviously they desperately need at the moment, with question marks around basically every starter not named Garrett Crochet and kind of Hunter Dobbins. you don't know if you're going to get one inning or 6 innings out of anyone else. So you need people that, if need be, can come in the second and eat 5 or 6 innings. Now, the issue with that role is sometimes those are the guys that then get called down. Like, even if they put up good, like he could go 5 innings and give up 2 runs, and it's like, that's a really good job out of the bullpen to keep the Red Sox in it and to eat a ton of innings. But then it's like, oh, well, now we know he's not going to pitch for 5 days, so let's send him down and bring someone else up. I don't think anyone would have been shocked anyway, but if that is the case, very strong chance that we see Brian Van Belle get 1 outing before getting sent down to the minors again. Hopefully he makes the most of it. But either way, he 100% deserves this. I am 99.999% sure this will not be his only shot in the major leagues, unless he just stays up and never goes down again. But yeah, very cool story. It sucks for him a little bit that it just got completely overshadowed by the Roman Anthony news. But also, it's not like this is something that would have dominated headlines. Like, obviously, we would have talked about it a lot. Other Red Sox media would have talked about it a decent amount. But it's not like this is something that would have been hitting national news. He seems like a very low-key, like, down-to-earth guy, so I'm sure it doesn't bother him that Roman Anthony's not taking, or that Roman Anthony's taking all the headlines. And Roman Anthony also just a phenomenal person. I talked about it last year. I was lucky enough to go to the Red Sox last series of the season, and I talked to Roman Anthony after the last game. And before I left, he like thanked me. He was like, "Oh man, thanks for everything you did this year." And it's like, dude, I go to games and talk about you and ask you and bother you and ask you questions. So just a really high character guy. So I can't imagine he's wants to take the attention away from Brian Van Belle. I mean, we saw it when Marcelo Meyer got called up. He was super excited in a situation where he probably also could have been very pissy. Like, why am I not also getting promoted? And instead he used it to just be like, look at my friend getting called up. We saw the video of him watching the fireworks show in Worcester when Marcelo Meyer hit his first career home run, and Roman Anthony smiling ear to ear. So I'm sure he very much wants Brian Van Belle to get some attention, and it's deserved attention. And I'm really excited to see him make his debut. I hope he gets a chance and gets to prove that he belongs in the major leagues and that he can carve out a role this year. Because that's something the Red Sox have been cycling relief pitchers in and out all year. Some of them have been awesome. Luis Guerrero's been fantastic for them. Nick Birdy's looked good in his chances. But then there's people like, Robert Stock looked good at first, and then he had the tough outing last night. Like Josh Winkowski was up and down. Obviously, he's now on the 60-day. He's probably not going to pitch again this year in the majors. So there's like a lot of guys that have been cycling. There's other people in AAA that like could get a shot at some point. Shane Drohan, if he gets healthy. Cooper Criswell's been up and down. Zach Kelly's been up and down. Wyatt Mills could get a chance at some point. Like there are a ton of people that will cycle in and out. And I just really hope that Brian Van Belle gets a chance to prove himself. Really hope he gets a chance to, I know I said I'm 99% sure he will get another shot in the majors at some point, like even if he's just up for 2 days and gets one chance. I hope he gets another chance this year. It's Red Sox fans, I mean, baseball fans in general, but Red Sox fans can be very, what have you done for me lately? Like I said, Robert Stock was good his first call up with the Red Sox earlier this year. And then he struggled last night. And I saw people like get Robert Stock out of this organization. Like it wasn't even just like, oh, he should be back down in AAA. It was like, what are we doing with Robert Stock in the major or in this organization? It's ridiculous. I don't want to see that happen to a guy who is, 28 years old, worked his way up through the majors. He just had a hell of a minor league career so far. So give him a chance. Don't expect like the flashiest of things, but he's going to be able to eat innings for you, and he's probably going to be decently effective while doing it.
Yeah, I would also add with Van Belle too. Like, I do agree with you on the notion of like him being a like undrafted. Like, not really. I mean, this is the guy who was the Friday starter for my University of Miami team who had Slade Ciccone on the team, and he was a first round draft pick. in 2020. That same year, he was a first round draft pick. They also had Chris McMahon, who was a second round pick in that draft as well. So two guys who were picked in the first 2 rounds were on the Miami team. And Van Belle was the Friday starter over both of them. Both of those guys were juniors. Van Belle was a senior. Could have maybe been a little bit of a seniority thing, but Van Belle pitched the best out of those, albeit only made 4 starts because it was a very shortened college season. I think they all only made 4 starts. So it was a very much shortened year. But saying he is undrafted is a little bit of a kind of like
misnomer. Yeah,
it wasn't really. It was like he was undrafted only because it was the circumstances of the 2020
Yeah,
draft.
like I know he was listed as like a priority undrafted free agent. I genuinely think if there was 8 rounds, he would have been drafted. Like it's not
if
like
there was
this
10 rounds, he probably would have.
Yeah, like this is not something where if there was a normal, 20 rounds or whatever, he would have barely made it. Like he would have been drafted relatively quote unquote early. It's not like this is some crazy.
Now he was a college senior, so he did have he had less I guess leverage to go back to school. He had no leverage to go back to school.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like if it was we saw it last year and the year before where it's like they get these college seniors to sign severely under slot because it's like, well, what else are you going to do? You're going to sign with us or are you going to not go back to college? So those are your 2 options. It's one of those things where it's like it's kind of a shitty tactic.
Although they could go to like Japan or something.
Yeah,
Korea. Not that they would want to, though. But I mean, we saw it with Carter Stewart. Oh, it was like 2017 first round draft pick, and he's like, "Nah, I'm not signing with." I think it was the Braves who drafted him. And he was like, "Nah, I'm not signing. I'm going to Japan." And then he went to Japan. He's actually turned himself. He's had a pretty nice little career in Japan. In all honesty, I think he had like a 3 ERA last year or something like that. Like he was solid last year in Japan. Nothing absurd, but
is that where he actually wants to be? And also
he chose to go there.
I know, but I mean, like
first round pick though.
But also,
you get more guaranteed money though.
The numbers are good, but also like it's Japan's offense, like they're
dead ball. Okay, yes, but like he chose to go.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair, I think part of it too was the guaranteed money in Japan because he signed as like a free agent, so like he got guaranteed like I think it was like almost $1 million a year for like 6 or 7 years or whatever it was. And then if he eventually does get posted, although he's with a team that is very against posting, but if he does come back over to the U.S. when he's old enough to sign an actual free agent contract, compared to the $6 million or so signing bonus with the Braves, or maybe less. I think they saw an elbow injury with him too, and we're like, no, we're not giving you that much. And then they were like, and then all the years in the minor leagues when at the time minor leaguers were making nothing, and then the big league system of the 3 years before arbitration and then arbitration. So so yes, college seniors. I mean, if they really, really wanted to, they could go overseas or they could go play in like Mexico or indie ball or whatever, but like everyone's dream is to play in the big leagues for the most part.
Yeah.
So, that point very much is true. But on Van Belle, yeah, he definitely would have been drafted. But the 5-round draft really hurt it. But he was absolutely going to get drafted, and if it was a normal draft.
And like I said, obviously the numbers this year have been really good. More importantly, he has been phenomenal recently. His last 4 appearances have been 3 starts, 1 relief appearance. The 1 relief appearance, it was 2 shutout innings. The 3 starts have all been 7-inning starts, and he hasn't given up more than I think one run in any of them. I think it's 0, 1, and 1, which just phenomenal. Again, he is someone that can give you a lot of innings. He can throw a lot of pitches if you need him to. I'm pretty sure he's hit 100 pitches in the past. I don't know if he's done it this year, but I feel like I remember him doing it in like Double-A last year or 2 years ago, and it was just like, dude, that's insane. Like to see that from a minor league guy, he that was his calling card, was he can give you 8 innings and throw a ton of pitches, and he's but the bigger thing is just he's efficient. And obviously minor leagues and major leagues, different ball game. But he's not going to, knock on wood, he's not going to give you, he walked 4 guys and he's causing issues for, like, he walked 4 guys in an inning and issues, and we got to bring someone in a terrible situation. You're getting a guy who will, if damage is done, it will be he's getting hit around, which, don't get me wrong, still frustrating, but nothing's more annoying than seeing a pitcher going out there and walking 3 guys and then giving up a 3-run double. And it's like, damn it, like this is all self-inflicted wounds. He will hit his spots. He will give you innings. He will eat those innings. It's just a really exciting call up. Again, sucks that Roman Anthony, who is literally batting right now for the first time. Roman Anthony kind of took away a lot of the thunder from him, but obviously it makes sense that happened. Brian Van Belle is not in the same stratosphere of recognizability as Roman Anthony. But that does not mean that he did not 1,000,000,000% deserve this shot in the majors.
Also, shout out to the umpire for dusting off home plate when it clearly did not need to be dusted off.
Yeah.
That's their new trick with the pitch clock. Just on Van Belle quickly. In 2021, he went 91 pitches in the second half of a doubleheader where he went 5 innings. In 2022, he went 97 in 5 innings in August against the Hartford Yard Goats. He also went 93 and 91 in a couple other games that year. In 2023 was the 100-pitch game. He went 102 pitches in 6 1/3 against the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. He also went 98, 97, 96, 95, 91, 91, and 90 pitches.
Yeah, you do not see that from prospects a lot,
yeah,
especially in the Red Sox, in the Red Sox organization.
Yep. Last year he went 95 in 5 innings against the Durham Bulls. And then this year his high is 86 pitches, which was on May 29th. But you look at his appearances, his 4 of his 5 wins on the year. And one of his wins was he only pitched 2 innings as coming out of the pen. But his 4 wins as a starter, he's on 86, 83, 81, and 76 pitches. Those outings have been 7 innings, 7 innings, 7 innings, and 60. Not 60, 6 innings, 60. Jeez Louise. My eyes are deceiving me.
Which, I mean, that's good to show that the efficiency is better. Like, he was throwing 91 pitches to get through 5 innings. Now he's throwing 83 to get through 7.
Like 100 to get through 6 or 90 to get through 5. Now he's like 86 to 7, 83 for 7, 81 for 7, 76 for 6. And the thing is too, like, so his start this past week, he threw 83 pitches in that start and 7 innings, gave up 5 hits, but no walks, just the 1 run. Also no hit by pitches as well. He's been stellar this year. Sucks that I'm now in Florida, so I can't go to Worcester and talk to Chad Tracy about Brian Van Belle, because I was one of the guys who I hadn't talked to Tracy, hadn't asked Tracy about at all in my 2 times going up to Worcester. I'll try to hopefully get up there at the end of the season once I'm back up north for school and see if I can kind of, I would assume, hopefully Van Belle's still kicking around. My biggest fear of Van Belle is that he's going to get sent down and he's going to get DFA'd to get sent. Although he would have options, but he's going to get DFA'd because they need the 40-man spot.
Yeah, I'd imagine. I don't know.
That's
he has options. Like,
he has options, but he also,
but
they need a 40, because they're going to need 40-man spots eventually with guys like Sandoval, and I would assume like Chris Murphy's going to have to come off the 60-day.
Yeah, exactly.
He's rehabbing. I don't know. He also note on his rehab, he's pitching out of the bullpen, I'm pretty sure. For the most part. This week he had 3 appearances in Portland. We'll get to him when we get to Portland, but 3 appearances, only one of them was a start, but only 4 innings combined. Between those 3 appearances. So, and per Jason, because Jason is working as an intern with Greenville, he was on a 20-pitch limit in his appearances with Greenville. So I would assume he's going to be back as a reliever. I would assume.
I mean, that's what he did. That's what he did in 2023 anyway.
Although, yes, but they very well could use him stretched out, but it's also kind of hard to stretch out mid-season as well. Let's stick with AAA. Yes, exactly. Let's stick with AAA for a little bit, though. Obviously, Van Belle had the nice start. Tyler Uberstein's another interesting one. 5 2/3 innings this week. Just 2 earned runs, 5 hits. He did give up a homer, but just 1 walk and 7 strikeouts. He's starting to get to the point with Van Belle now getting that move up to the big leagues. You kind of look at the guys who haven't been in the big leagues yet this year, who are with the Red Sox. Obviously, Fitz is now healthy, but like, Uberstein's starting to get close to being a possibility if they need like a longer, guy who can go a couple innings out of the bullpen, maybe 3 or 4 out of the bullpen. Uberstein's starting to put himself into a potential spot because you start looking with I know Criswell just got sent down. But if anything happens to like Criswell, for example, and maybe Fitz has already pitched like the day before or 2 days before, or whatever it is, Uberstein could turn himself into a potential option.
Yeah.
And that's a guy, like 19th round draft pick in 2021. We want to talk about kind of these somewhat like underdog stories, I guess. Uberstein last year, he had just the 3 games in Greenville. He was coming off of Tommy John. I forgot the name of Tommy John for a second. That would have been embarrassing. He only had the 3 innings, which is interesting because you look at his minor league career. Salem and Greenville in 2022, then doesn't pitch in 2023. Only pitches 3 games last year, and they're all Greenville. Starts this year and has the 29 and 2/3 innings in Portland. And now he's up in Worcester.
Not only did he start in Portland, he was their opening day starter.
Yes,
like he was the opening day starter. I was shocked. Like, and no disrespect to him, but I was like, they had some decently big names in that. Like,
yes.
they clearly liked something about him, and they were clearly right.
And now he's in Worcester, 21 innings. The big thing, I think, like he had 35 strikeouts and just 4 walks and 29 and 2/3 innings in Portland. And Worcester, the strikeouts are down to 22 and 21 innings. The walks are up from 4 and 29 and 2/3 to 7 and 21. But that's still,
which, to be fair, 4 of those came in his first AAA appearance.
Yes, well, yes, context there. But like even still, though, like even without that, like that's still are those numbers are still more than fine.
Yeah.
And I think that, like I said, he's starting to put himself in that conversation for being a legitimate option. Should they need someone to make be that kind of reliever who can eat, let's say 3 or 4 innings out of the bullpen, depending on the circumstances. He's making himself a legitimate option, which is amazing to see that a guy like a Van Belle and an Uberstein can make themselves options instead of, oh crap, we need to go grab someone off waivers really quick or trade for someone. It's so much better just have the guy in your own system that you can move up if you need it. A la like when Brandon Walter was in like 2023 was making like the spot starts and Murphy was making appearances here and there, right? Like having those guys. I'm more so Walter because he was a 26th round draft pick, right? And the 26th round doesn't even exist anymore. But having guys like that who can turn themselves into big league depth is huge, and maybe even more potentially. You never know, right? And so I think having guys like that, and it's really nice to have that because Cooper Criswell is fine. Like there's nothing wrong with Cooper Criswell, but like, do you really want to have to trade for a Cooper Criswell?
Yeah.
No, you don't want to have to trade for a Cooper Criswell. And with guys like Van Belle and Uberstein, they've turned themselves into legitimate options for the big league team. Because, you can pick up a Robert Stock in free agency in the offseason, but when it comes to the middle of the season and you need someone, those guys have been crucial for the Red Sox, especially in AAA with all the injuries the big league pitchers have had.
Rich Hill has an opt-out soon.
Yeah. Okay, Rich Hill has an opt-out, yes, because that's what I need, a 40...
There's a genuine chance he pitches for the Red Sox.
You know what? That wouldn't shock me. And you know what? At that point, screw it. You know what? Have him DH a game too at that point. Like, why not? Maybe he'll go play center field. Just for
considering
every Red Sox fan that has seems like half the Red Sox fans who have accounts on Twitter want to move Rafael out of center field. Just put Rich Hill out there. Why not? Besides the point. But no, it is nice to have these guys in Worcester doing so well. Because it is a little bit of a change of pace. Because I feel like there were times when we started this show, like someone would get called up to AAA, and no offense to guys like Ronaldo Hernandez and Jorge Alfaro catching, but clearly wasn't the best situation for pitchers.
Yeah,
it clearly wasn't. And also Worcester, at that balls were flying out left and right. They don't fly out as much as when the park opened, but got someone get called up to AAA, and then they just have a really rough stretch of it, right? And now having guys like Van Belle and Uberstein, that's massive, especially too when you have a guy like a Jose De Leon in the rotation, and there's nothing potentially in the rotation right now, and there's nothing against Jose De Leon, but he's 34 years old, and he has
struggling.
He's struggling
with
minimal big league experience. Yeah, but like minimal big league experience, like has bounced around all over the place, right? And there's nothing wrong with like shout out Jose De Leon. He's 34. He's still going and pitching in AAA. Like I'm never gonna pitch in AAA. Like good for him, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to an organizational outlook and having those depth guys, like you don't want to have to rely on someone like that. You know, you'd rather have a Van Belle or an Uberstein to rely.
But
on.
also, that was kind of what we talked about with Abraham Toro was, he's there to be a veteran in AAA and kind of like a very much break glass in case of emergency. They broke glass in case of emergency. He's been phenomenal. So,
yes,
I mean, there is always that chance where that ends up working out for you.
Oh, it could happen, but you at least when it comes to the pitching side of things, you'd rather De Leon be the 50th option than the second option.
There's much less of a chance of a pitcher who has been bad in the majors coming up and having a good stretch than there is a hitter who's been below average in the majors coming up and having a good stretch. Like that's much less unheard of. But yeah,
Uberstein had some really good stretches in his career as well. Remember when he got traded to Seattle for Kendall Graveman and everyone thought the Mariners were idiots. And then Toro for that like month there made everyone look like they were stupid.
But yeah, Uberstein very similar to Van Belle in the sense of like doesn't throw super hard. He throws a little bit harder than Van Belle. But he also just doesn't walk people and he can give you innings. So like you said, a good, again, break glass in case of emergency option where if it comes down to it, he is an option. Another guy who's working himself up to an option, he's not there yet because he just made his AAA debut this week, missed the first like month and a half of the season with an illness. Isaac Coffey made his AAA debut, 4 hits, only 1 run in 3 1/3 innings, struck out just 1 batter, walked 1. Before that, he had made 6 shutout innings he had 6 shutout innings over 2 appearances in AA. So didn't really get a lot of time in AA, but that's not surprising. He was phenomenal there last year. If it wasn't for the illness, he would have started the year in AAA. Now he's just kind of building himself back up, but really good to see him put up good numbers in his debut or fine numbers in his debut. Obviously it's not shocking that he didn't go out there and throw, 5-6 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts, being as it's him at a new level. And he's still working back from getting to full strength. And then the other big one, Brian Mata, overall numbers, not great. 5.46 ERA, 2.79 batting average against, 182 whip in 17 appearances, 21 walks and 31 in the 3rd innings, but he does have 49 strikeouts. He's had a great month of June. On Sunday, he picked up his 2nd save of the year. He threw 2 innings. I think it was like 2 innings, no hits, a walk, 3 strikeouts, or maybe a hit and a walk and 3 strikeouts. Really good in 5 innings in June, 1 run, 1 hit in 3 appearances, over 5 innings. So that's really solid. And possibly most importantly, topped out at 99.1 on Sunday. He has the velocity. He has really good breaking stuff when it's on. That's kind of one of the issues with him, obviously command, but the other one is just sometimes he doesn't have the breaking stuff, which then he's just throwing fastballs. And if he doesn't have great control of it, then that's where the real issues start in, because then he's just throwing, a flat slider and a fastball that's not doing much. But like when the slider's working and he's throwing 99, he is still one of the more disgusting pitchers a AAA hitter is going to face. And just getting a good month from him would be huge. He's not on the 40-man, so there's not this pressure of like he has to be up tomorrow. Like that was the whole issue last year, was with the clock running out and like he had to be on the roster at this point. And it felt really coincidental that every time all of a sudden that clock was at like 2 days. Oh, he's hurt. He's going back on the IL, and then
to be fair though, it wasn't
that
like it wasn't like totally unbelievable that
I know it's like, not. He's
a
had
little bit of a pulled
issues.
Muscle or. Like I've said it before, the entire reason the Red Sox even have Brian Mata is because he was injured as a 16-year-old.
Yes. But it felt like some of those injuries were probably things where it would have been like, oh, he'll miss a day or 2. And instead they were like, oh man, what's that? Your arm hurts? 15-day IL. And then we'll restart everything. Which I mean,
he's already got a year of service time, but he has yet to even be on a big league roster.
Which like sucks for him in the sense of, he could have gone somewhere else and maybe gotten his major league debut already. But 1, great for the Red Sox. And 2, he obviously clearly feels comfortable here. Like he re-signed a with them on a minor league deal this year.
Like that.
Yeah, like immediately. Like it was like announced that he was gone, and then it was like literally the next day, or maybe not even the next day. It was just like, oh, Red Sox reached deal with Brian Mata. So like clearly he felt comfortable being here. Clearly he wants to be here.
It could be him wanting to prove something too, that he can do it with the Red Sox.
Very much be a look. I need to prove to everyone. I need to prove to myself that I belong here and that I deserve that shot in the major leagues. And the start of the year wasn't great for him. He's had some good moments, some bad moments, but the month of June's been phenomenal. Sunday was really encouraging, and if he can just keep doing that for the rest of the month, he will absolutely become one of those guys who gets thrown into that rotation of the Red Sox need someone, and they're DFAing this guy and they're calling up this guy. Like, he's absolutely going to be in the mix at some point. And it's just nice that there's not that ticking clock now of he has to be up within the next 3 days. It's now let him work on things, figure things out. And when he's ready and when the team needs him, you can call him up. I feel like that just takes so much pressure away, and he's giving them good things this month. Hopefully that continues.
Yeah, also too, I just want to add to on the Mata front, like, the stuff is still good. Like, it's not like even with all the injuries, it's like he's not like the stuff isn't like bad anymore or whatever. Like, the stuff is still really good. I mean, like, I think that's the other thing. I do like, it is interesting. I know his last appearance, he threw 33 pitches, only 3 fastballs, 11 sinkers, and then 14 sliders. And he was up to 99.1 as well, his last appearance. So I mean, obviously Mata still throws just absolute gas. Like, there's this, and the stuff is still good, right? There's, like, that's obvious. But yes, there obviously the command can at times still, get him a little bit, right? And like, Mata is still relatively young. He's not, he's not 21 years old like Roman Anthony making his big league debut. He's still 26 though. We're seeing Van Belle make his debut at 28, right? Yeah. It's not like the clock is ticking on Mata. Obviously, the sooner I'm sure like he would have loved to have already been in the big leagues by now. And at one point, you would have thought he would have already been in the big leagues by now. Like, if you look back like 3 or 4 years ago.
2018, 2019, he was like considered one of the top pitching prospects in the world.
Yes.
I don't think anyone would have expected him to still be in AAA trying to figure things out. But I mean, we've said it 1,000 times that it's not linear, Yeah,
exactly.
Things happen, injuries happen. You need to work on certain things. There's so many different reasons for a prospect to still be working things out in the minor leagues.
And I hate to get too much on like Red Sox philosophy and stuff, but like, last year it was literally on a thing outside of Chad Tracy's door. They want to throw the pitcher's best stuff. They want the pitchers to throw their best stuff in the strike zone, which is why a guy like Garrett Crochet, who has elite stuff, looks so good with the Red Sox. Why? He has the like top of the chain elite stuff, and he can throw it in the strike zone consistently. Yeah. A guy like Mata has really good stuff. The issue is he struggles to throw it in the strike zone.
Yeah.
Right? But imagine if Brian Mata was peppering the strike zone and could not just throw it over the middle of the plate, but could also command it in the strike zone. Like, you're looking at a guy who could be lights out of the bullpen. Yeah. Obviously, some guys end up never being able to do that, right? Like, we saw Melvin Adon, for example, who just throws as hard as can be, but like, I don't even think he knows where the ball's going. Oh, terrifying! Like, if I wouldn't want to get in the box against him. No. Yeah, I wouldn't want to get in the box with him. One, because he's massive, and two, I don't even know if he knows where the ball is going.
Yeah, two, because he's throwing it 100 and he doesn't know where he's throwing it.
Elkers Oliveras. Well, how many walks did he have?
Dude, that was insane. I went to a game where he hit 2 people and had like 3 balks.
He had like 6 balks.
Happening. But yeah, to move on a little bit, because we're at an hour and
we're almost at the 2-hour mark, and we haven't even gone out of Worcester.
Hitters, Stinson Garcia.
No, hold on, I will add. If we're talking big league depth, Zach Penrod. I feel like we should bring him up. He had 2 appearances this week, 2 2/3 innings. Did give up 4 hits, but no runs, no walks, no hit by pitches. Just so nothing outside of the hits, just the hits. And then he had 4 strikeouts as well in those 2 2/3 innings. Yeah. So Penrod could potentially also be closing in on potential big league roster
Turn to
spot
the
at some
big
point because
leagues,
he
yeah.
is on the 40-man.
Hitting wise, I'll just throw it out there. Philip Sykes came back off the dev list, hit a homer. Why am I struggling with his name? Nathan Hickey played catcher at one point this week, which he is, I think it was like his third game at catcher all year, or his third start at catcher, and hit a home run in that game. Ryan Noda had a really good week, but he got DFA'd. I don't think he's coming back. He was hitting like 390 with like 4 homers for Worcester. I imagine someone is going to sign him, especially with the fact that like 2 years ago he was decent enough in the majors. I could see someone signing him. So that frees up space for Hickey and Bleis Jordan to full-time first base. And the two big performances for me this week is Stinson Garcia, 6 for 22, 2 doubles and a triple. He's slashing 353, 380, 618, 4 doubles, a triple, 4 homers since being promoted to AAA. 10 RBIs, 11 runs scored in 16 games. He's now a top 100 prospect according to Baseball America. They had him at 99. Phenomenal defender, terrifying power. He's going to be one of the more interesting what do they do with him at the trade deadline guys. Like if they're buyers, he's 100% a guy who could get you a phenomenal return. He can get you a big league starter or a really good reliever. And if he stays, to me, that is not for a lack of interest, but for a lack of the Red Sox wanting to move him. If he stays, personally, that tells me that they plan on him being a major league contributor.
Especially if he makes it through the offseason.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the big one. That's the big one right there.
Yeah.
He makes it through the offseason because you also, too, I mean, the Red Sox made the Crochet trade. I'm not saying they're going to get Crochet level talent, but like you package like Justinson with, 2 other pieces and you can go get yourself another very good starting pitcher.
Yeah. Especially because with the way he's playing, he's not going to be number 99 by the end of the year. There's going to be promotions, like call-ups that people graduating. Stinson Garcia could easily be a top 75 prospect in baseball. He is going to get you a good return. And then Bleis Jordan, first week in AAA, absurd. He collected at least 1 hit in all 6 games, 375, 400, 750 slash line, 6 doubles and a homer. He's driven in 5, scored 6. I think he has 9 hits and 7 of them are extra bases. That is stupid. Still playing really good defense at first. They threw him at third once or twice. Very, 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 very legitimate option that he is the everyday major league first baseman by the end of the year. Obviously, if Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez continue to do what they're doing, that's not going to happen because they won't need help. But again, not to shit on the guy, but banking on Abraham Toro continuing to be a 350 hitter seems a little ridiculous. So like it would not shock me if he stumbles out at some point. And also that is expecting both of them to stay healthy all year, which with the Red Sox luck won't happen. So just a very realistic chance that he is up this year. And even if he's not, obviously there's still a lot of season to go. So it will be barring how he plays the rest of the year. But there's no reason to not assume that Bleis Jordan will go into spring training next year with a very real chance of winning the opening day first base job. Tristan Casas might be back by then. Not 100% clear. And even if he is, he's going to have to prove he's healthy and prove he can contribute because obviously he was not very good this year. Bleis Jordan, just a phenomenal defender at first. The offense has terrifyingly woken up. Like even the staunchest Bleis Jordan haters seem to be like, no, the bat is real again. Yeah, it's crazy to think about, like, right before Alex Bregman got traded or got signed, I'm pretty sure it's like basically knowledge at this point that the Red Sox had a trade lined up for Nolan Arenado if they didn't get Alex Bregman. And I don't think it was ever explicitly said, but like Bleis Jordan was in that deal. Like he tweeted out like the little pen and note or something like that. Like it was very clearly like he had been told, hey dude, you're about to be traded for Nolan Arenado. You and another piece or something. Like you're in the package for whatever the deal would have been.
Which you figure because guess who's in St. Louis? Heim.
Oh yeah, exactly. I was so confused as to where that was going. So like he went from someone that they were ready to ship off for an aging third baseman who can't hit anymore. Obviously, I mean he's not having the worst year at the plate, but he's not having a good year at the plate. They were shipping him off for an aging third baseman, and now he is very much looking like the first baseman of the future. I mean, he's 22 years old. This could be the guy for the next 15 years. It's just another. We already talked when we did the hour on Roman Anthony about how young this core is and how exciting it is to see them all together. Like there are more pieces that could be coming in the next month, 2 months, by the start of next year, whatever it is. Like it's not the smartest thing in the world to just bank on a team of young homegrown talent. Like you need those veterans mixed in. Like that's why Alex Bregman is so important. That's why I still think Trevor Story is important. Yeah. But there's a very realistic chance that at some point this year, the Red Sox are still fighting for a playoff spot with 5-6 rookies in the lineup. And Blaze Jordan is one of them.
Also, it's like Connor Wong's kind of a veteran. He's 29. He's like one of the oldest position.
Yeah, he doesn't have a ton of major league experience.
I mean, you have Ref Snyder and he might even be older than Romy. Like I don't know how old Romy is. Romy's 28. Wong's older than Romy. Like Wong's about to be like the veteran of the team. Oh, here's a wild one. Guess who Connor Wong is older than? Who's currently on the Red Sox active roster position player. This is a wild
position player.
Guess what?
Devers?
Like he's older than he's older than Raffy. He's older than another one that might be surprising.
I mean, he's probably it's Bregman.
Wong's 29.
Yeah,
it's Bregman, Story,
and Ref Snyder are probably the only three older than him, right? Oh, how old? I don't know. Abraham Toro's in his 30s, right?
He's 28.
28. Oh my God!
Connor Wong is older than Abraham Toro.
Wow.
That's a wild one.
And so he's literally the fourth oldest position player on the roster. That's insane.
Jeez. And then depending on how you think the team's going to look next year, he might be the oldest. Old man Connor Wong. He's got the beard to pass as a veteran. Also, the fact that he's a backup catcher makes him being a veteran very passable.
Yeah.
Backup catcher feels like a very veteran position.
It does.
Like I was like, at Narvaez not existed. I've been like, can we just get like Austin Hedges or something? Like, just veteran.
But yeah, do you have anything else on AAA? I mean, obviously, if you want to talk about
Vaughn Grissom had 5 games, 5 hits. Also had 4 walks this week. Also hit a homer. So hopefully Vaughn Grissom is turning a corner. I feel like I say that every time he has a good week, and then it's like a couple rough weeks. Hopefully he's turning the corner. Nick Sogard had 2 homers this week and 8 hits. Sogard gets sent back down to AAA and then just starts raking again. He had 7 walks and only 1 strikeout this week. Like, absurd.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Nate Eaton, 5 games, 5 hits this week. He also had a walk, so reached base 6 times. And then Sebi Zavala, 3 hits in 3 games, 2 of them doubles. He had a walk as well, so he reached base 4 times in 3 games. So, and I'll just mention Ryan Noda. I know he's not with the team anymore, but he had 3 homers this past week, and he had 6 hits in 5 games, 2 doubles, 3 homers, and a single. 5 walks with just 4 strikeouts, and he stole a base, and he played right field 2 times this past week. Ryan Noda was playing amazing.
I really think there's like a 1% chance he's back. I can't imagine some team isn't going to be like, hey, this
can't imagine it, but like also like who knows, because like he was DFA'd before and ended up with the Red Sox. You never know. I'm not saying
the Red Sox picked him. That's what I'm saying though. Is a team picked him up when he was hitting 100 in AAA.
Yeah, but it was the Red Sox. The Red Sox were the first team to take him.
I can't imagine a team's going to be like, oh man, this guy hit 400 over the last 3 weeks. No, we're good.
No, I know. I'm saying it's not the most outrageous. It's like when like the last team on waivers picks up someone and it's like every other team didn't want this person, but the last team on waivers takes them. But no, overall, Worcester actually had like a very good week.
Yeah, they won in every game.
Yeah, that they did have a very good week.
And then they lost their best player.
They lost their best player in a good way.
And their best pitcher.
In a good that too. Chad Tracy's probably like, oh, you've got to be kidding me, man. Like, really? Like, would you take away my best position player after you take away my second best position player? And then now you take away my best pitcher, and I have like 3 starting pitchers. Like, what do you want me to do here? Criswell still isn't here. He's gonna travel from Lord knows where, probably from New York. Probably getting an Uber or something.
Fitz is basically still rehabbing. Penrod's rehabbing. Yeah, Worcester's in a weird spot right now.
Yeah, they're in such a weird spot.
But are you good on Worcester now? Anything else?
Yeah, I'm good on Worcester. We're an hour and 55 minutes in.
I feel like we should move a little bit.
I'm so sorry, Jake. I just tweeted out that we're at like almost at the 2-hour mark, and yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jake. Sorry, not sorry though. Moving on, we're gonna talk about Portland because now that Roman Anthony's out of the system, outside of Franklin Arias, the greatest prospect to ever live, Alan Castro had 6 hits this week, including a double and a homer. So, shout out Alan Castro. Also had 4 walks this week, so he reached base 10 times in 6 games. Also, he only had 3 strikeouts, 2 of those 4 walks, and Alan Castro stole a base. So, shout out Alan Castro. And obviously, he did miss a decent chunk of time. He's only played in 22 games so far this year, but it's been much improved from that stretch he had in AA last year.
Yep.
Because last year he played 28 games, had 100 at bats. This year's 22 games, 74 at bats. He's got 2 homers. He's got 3 doubles and 2 homers. Last year in his time in AA, he only had 2 doubles and 1 homer. The strikeouts are way down. He had 30 strikeouts in 28 games in Portland last year. This year, he's only got 15 strikeouts in 22 games. The walks, 13 walks in 28 last year with Portland. This year, 10 and 22, so they're about the same. His last time last year with Portland in those 28 games, 180, 274, 230 for 504 OPS. This year in his 22 games, 270, 353, 392 with this 745 OPS. It's not insane by any means, but for a guy who, it was very much left a sour taste in. It could very much, you could argue, left like a very sour taste in the mouth after having that rough of a stretch.
Yeah.
Like to end the year.
Yeah.
Kind of having that bounce back has been super.
He still doesn't have a ton of time at AA.
No. It's
much improved from last year. And if you want to go all the way back, if you want to go back to May 30th, 11 for 33 with a double, 2 homers. So like very clearly he's getting comfortable there. Like he missed a decent chunk of time. So it's not shocking that, he started off slow when he got back. So it's good to see him picking it up, especially with Portland's offense kind of being a black hole right now with Blaze Jordan getting promoted and Mikey Romero's injured. They need production from somewhere. Like he's been the one to step up for them recently, which is huge.
Yeah.
There's really not much else to talk offensively. Zach Earhart had 2 doubles in the last game of the week. He's another guy who hopefully can step up and pick things up. Drew Earhart's been decent. Caden Rose, like there's a bunch of guys hitting 200 or sub 200 that have like big moments. Caden Rose has had some big moments. Max Ferguson has had big moments. Zach Earhart's had big moments. They're all hitting under 200. Ronald Rosario's had big moments. He's hitting under 200. And then like Tyler Miller's right around 200. He's had a couple really big moments. But like you need production from somewhere. And right now it's Alan Castro that's figuring it out for them. Pitching wise, I really only have 4 people to talk about. Chris Murphy is making some rehab outings. He's looked really good there for the most part. Wouldn't be shocked if he's in AAA this week. The rehab time has to be coming close. Obviously, they're just going to option him to AAA. That's going to end up being the move because I'm sure with how long he's been out, that will probably be the right way to go. Have him optioned, let him get more time in AAA, and then work things out from there. But Noah Song also making some appearances. He made 1 in high A, 1 in AA this week. Over those 2 appearances, 1 hit, no runs, 2 1/3 shutout, 2 1/3 innings, no runs. Struck out 2 batters, walked 2. Through 4 levels this season, he's pitched an FCL, single A, high A, AA. 8 1/3 innings, hasn't allowed a run. He's only given up 1 hit, 3 walks, 12 strikeouts. Obviously, a lot of that is lower level stuff, but still, like, he's looked phenomenal. If he can become anything for them at this point, that's such a massive win. And it's really exciting to see him climb back up that ladder and be healthy. And it's finally when people ask for Noah Song updates, there are actual exciting updates to give them, which is nice. David Sandlin, 6 innings, 3 runs on 5 hits, 6 strikeouts, walked 2. Not his best start, especially compared to the last 2 outings he had, but still a really solid start. It's good to see him going 6 innings. Like his last 3 outings was 5 innings of relief, 7 innings, 6 innings. It's really good to see him getting these longer outings, because that was like the big knock on him was he would tend to like falter in the 4th or in the 5th and end up not going 5 innings. So to see him getting deeper into games is a massive positive. Numbers overall are pretty decent. 386, 235 batting average against, 118 whip, 51 strikeouts compared to 14 walks in 49 innings. It's like him and Connolly early are the two that I could see getting called up to AAA relatively soon. I think it'll be early before Sandlin, but it's good to see him picking it up and giving it a reason to talk about, David Sandlin could get the promotion soon. And then just the other guy I want to talk about super quick, Redis Senya, fantastic week. He's been really good all year, but this week was ridiculous. In 2 appearances, he threw 5 scoreless innings, only gave up 2 hits, 4 strikeouts, didn't walk anyone. He's got a 2.38 ERA, 147 batting average against, 119 whip in 14 appearances, 29 strikeouts compared to 16 walks in 22 2/3 innings. So the walks are a bit of an issue, but again, didn't walk anyone in 5 innings this week, which is a massive development. We've now seen him get 34 innings over 21 appearances in AA, which doesn't sound like a ton, but for a reliever, that's not a lot. Wouldn't be shocked if he goes to AAA soon, especially with him having such a good year. Another guy who, within a month or 2 months, we could be talking as potential bullpen depth for the Red Sox.
Yeah, I also too want to just add on Connolly. I just want to say about Connolly earlier, like the fact that he goes 5 innings, only gives up 2 runs. With the line he had, you look at like the 9 hits, 2 walks, 1 hit by pitch, only 3 strikeouts. Clearly not his best day, but still being able to go those 5 innings, only give up 2 runs. It's not like he gave up 2 earned and then like 5 total, right, with 3 unearned runs. Just straight up only give up 2 runs in those 5 innings. That to me is still somewhat meaningful, considering that, giving up 9 hits is not ideal, especially when you also walk 2 and you also hit a guy. I think like the whip would have been over 2, I think, for just if you were to go 1 star. I know whip doesn't really matter a ton in terms of like end all be all stats, but that's still not ideal. But him going out fighting, going that 5 innings, I like seeing that. Other than that, I just want to circle back to Alan Castro for like a second, because I was looking at some stuff with Castro, and I found it interesting that outside of his 19 at-bat stretch in Greenville in 2023, every single level he's been at, he has been much better as a left-handed hitter against right-handed pitching. Even this year against left-handed pitching, hitting right-handed, albeit it's only 15 at-bats, he's hitting 200. He's 3 for 15 with 3 singles, 4 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Last year in his 7 at-bats against lefties in Portland, he went over 7 with 4 strikeouts and just 1 walk. And then he can, even if you dated it back to 2024 in Greenville, 721 OPS against lefties compared to 837 against righties. It's not that big of a difference. But especially this year against the higher level pitching, 808 OPS as a left-handed hitter against righties compared to 494. I mean, we saw what it did for Abram Liendo to go to only hitting on one side of the plate. I wonder if maybe Castro could potentially end up doing that at some point too. We've seen it, as Roman Anthony hits a 111-mile-per-hour ball, smokes it, but just has to, do his best Jack Caglione impression and hit it right at someone. But it is. But no, back to back to Alan Castro. I do wonder if at some point, that'd probably be an off-season thing, but I do wonder if that does come up at some point, because especially now with him being in the high minors, and he is a Rule 5 eligible guy, right? Like, I'm not saying he's going to get taken in the Rule 5, but it's definitely is something to consider, I think, with him if he does continue to struggle against lefties hitting right-handed. At that point, you do wonder if it's just, why not just have him hit lefty, and he might struggle against lefties anyways, but at least he doesn't have to work on hitting from the right and left side. That'd probably be I guess that would be the argument for it. But yeah, that's pretty much all. I think that's everything.
Yep.
I know I'll just roll through Corey Rozier, Castro, Max Ferguson, and Mark Colesbury all hit homers. So shout out to them. But yeah, there was not much in Portland. I think we went through Portland in less than 10 minutes there. Now there is a lot to talk about in Greenville. I do want to start on the position player side here, especially too, because before I forget, Nazan Zanatello, really good week, 6 hits, 3 of them homers, also walked 3 times, and he only struck out 4 times, also stole a bag. Big thing with Zanatello, shout out Jason, like I said earlier, he is on an internship in Greenville. Greenville has been, I know Zanatello, his health had been tinkering with stuff, but Greenville, they did kind of go and change his batting stance recently. It might even been like new as of like this, this past week. And Zanatello had a very big week, so maybe they're finding something there with Zanatello. Obviously, I picked Zanatello to be my breakout player for Greenville this year. Zanatello's had his rough moments. He's had his hot stretches as well. And I think we talked about it a little bit before we started recording, which is now over 2 hours ago, as we're still talking about Greenville. But there is a lot, like he's been tinkering a lot with his stance. And I know, Hunter, you had said that you had heard that as well, that he'd been kind of tinkering with stuff every now and then. But it is nice to see him have a good week. Hopefully that'll continue. But Zanatello, I mean, I said it before, there's a reason they drafted him where he did and gave him the money they gave him the money they gave him. There's a reason for it. I'm not saying it's going to be an overnight thing, but I mean, there's a reason that he, was, like I said, he's not talentless. Like, this is a guy who the raw talent is there. It's just about putting it together. The strikeouts, is there a concern that he might just be a high strikeout guy? Yeah. But when you have a week like he did this week, where he, like I said, he went 6 for 16 with 3 homers, and 3 walks, and he only struck out 4 times. It kind of showcases those, like, it showcases that he legitimately could be a big talent, but you'd like to see it in more than just flashes. You'd like to see him have a consistent run, and he really hasn't had that this year. I know last year was very tough for him, and we talked about it plenty of times, whether it was earlier this year, last year, especially near the end of the year, when his strikeout rate was like way over 40%. Yes, like, Zanatello still has things to work on. But like we always say, at prospect development, it's not linear. And hopefully it's the start of something for Zanatello. Hopefully they find something with his batting stance maybe that he can stick to and that works, right? Because sometimes sometimes you only need a small change. And it could be a change as simple as maybe changing your batting stance a little bit. Seemingly, it seems like they've kind of widened him up a little bit. Maybe that's something. Don't know. But hopefully it's the start of something that he can stick to and continue to be productive.
Yeah. I'm going to try to fly through some of this just because we are at 2 minutes or 2 hours, 10 minutes. But yeah, 5-game hitting streak, 173 average, 307 on base, 307 slugging. Obviously not the most ideal thing in the world, but in the 5-game hitting streak, the average has gone up 20 points. The OBP has gone up 20 points. Slugging percentage has gone up 62 points. So there is a ton of positives to look at there. It just turned 20 years old. Like, this is still a very young prospect. Absolutely massively positive week, something to hopefully build off of. And Greenville's lineup in general has just been phenomenal. Franklin Arias had a homer and 2 hits yesterday. He just broke a 14-game hitting streak, and then he went 0 for 7 over 2 games, and then yesterday 2 for 5 with the homer and 2 RBIs. He's got a 353 average in high A. That's absurd. 19 years old. He's going to, by the end of the year, he's going to be a top, 15, 20 prospect in all of baseball, according to everyone. Speaking of 14-game hitting streaks, Brooks Brannon has a 14-game hitting streak. 273, 321, 424. 7 doubles, 2 triples, 5 homers. He's driven in 26. He's played mainly catcher this year. Looks like he's developing semi-decently there, which is a massive positive development right there. That's a position that we came into the year talking about how weak it was in the organization. Carlos Narvaez has become someone who looks like he can be the catcher of the next 10 years. You have Brooks Brannon developing really nicely. Andrew Musset's been phenomenal in single A. Johan Fran Garcia is hitting a homer like every day in the FCL. Assuming that there's a reason he's still in the FCL rehabbing. I don't know what it is, but there has to be some good reason for that. But either way, he looks like he's ready. But yeah, Brooks Brannon just hits the ball so hard. He's been phenomenal. Miguel Bleis already has 4 home runs in June. 256, 339, 506. He's got 7 doubles, a triple. He's already got 10 homers and 11 steals, so he's very much looking like a 2020 guy this season. Still only 21 years old. He showcased elite speed, defense. The bat's looking phenomenal this year. It feels like we're getting that ultra talented prospect that everyone was expecting when he first came out of the FCL. And everyone was so excited for him to make his single A debut. And then it's just kind of been injury after injury. And it looks like he's finally healthy. The infield pop-ups have still been somewhat of an issue, but it's been a lot less this year. At least eye test, it seems like it's been a lot less. I don't have the exact numbers, but it seems like it's been so much better. And he's another guy kind of like Stinson Garcia, where as much as some people probably aren't going to want to hear this, he feels like a perfect trade candidate. Like he's really putting himself back into being a legitimately exciting prospect. And the Red Sox just don't need outfielders at the moment. Like, what are they going to do with him? Like, yeah, he's probably going to get promoted to Double-A soon. And then it's like, cool, you still have too many people in the major league outfield already. And you have Stinson Garcia in Triple-A. And it's like, you have this 21-year-old who's looking every bit of that elite 5-tool prospect that you were hoping for, which is awesome. But you could also use him in a package to get a really good pitcher or something that you need. So I would not be shocked if that ends up happening at some point. Antonio Anderson, 8 for 19 in June. That's a 421 average. He's currently riding an 8-game hitting streak. He's right around he's just under 300 since being promoted to high A. He's at 319, 392, 445 in the season as a whole between single A and high A. The perfect example of don't give up on someone because they had one bad year. Like 2024, overall, the numbers were not great, but he figured it out. And like there were positives that we talked about last year. He continued to work counts. He had some good stretches, especially late in the year, which were very positive. And we're seeing why he was a 3rd-round pick. It looks like he's someone that could absolutely be a corner infielder for the Red Sox in the future. And then the only other hitter I just want to mention, Frelian Encarnacion made his high A debut this week. Started off 0 for 12. In the last 2 games, he has 5 for 7 with 2 doubles and a homer. He's got a 299 average on the year, 562 slugging, 16 doubles, a triple, 11 home runs between single A and high A. Legitimate bat, terrifying power. Like he hits the ball dangerously hard. He has he hit a ball like 120.7 miles per hour at some point this year, which I think topped Brooks Brannon's hardest hit ball by like 0.3. So there's a lot of ridiculous, like under the radar talent still in this Red Sox system that we will be talking about for the next 5 years.
Definitely. Also, too, shout out Big Al. He had 2 hits this week. Can't forget about Big Al. I don't know. Did you mention Justin Reamer? No, I didn't think so. He had 5 hits this week as well with a double. Only 3 strikeouts as well this week. So not like the craziest of weeks, but still a nice little solid week. Reached base 7 times with the 2 walks he also had. But yeah, Zanatello and Bleis both are 3 homer weeks. That very impressive from the 2 of them. On the Greenville pitching side of things, I want to start with Jonathan Brand going 6 2/3 innings in his 2 appearances this week. So 6 2/3 innings out of 2 appearances out of the bullpen, just 4 hits. The only run he gave up was on a homer, and then no walks, just the 3 strikeouts. But even then, that's still not walking guys. That's very important. And I feel like it is interesting seeing a guy like Brand go basically 7 innings. Realistically, let's be honest, it's basically 7 innings in a week, right? I feel like a lot of guys that I guess are kind of more. I don't know how to put this. I don't know. Guys who are more pure relievers, I like going that kind of length is very interesting to me. I'm not saying it's like a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I do find it interesting considering I think he's made 10 appearances this year and he's gone 15 innings in those 10 appearances. So the fact that in 2 he goes, at least that's per Sox prospects. So the fact that he goes 2 and 6 and 2/3, I find 2 appearances, 6 and 2/3 innings. I find that very interesting.
He's thrown 21 and 2/3 this year.
Okay, well, Sox prospects. Well, that might have been before the 6 and 2/3 innings this week, maybe.
Yeah.
But still, like, that's still very interesting considering, the length that they had him go. I'm actually gonna look and see right now what his game logs are, just for the fact that I don't know.
The part with Brand that interests me is the fact that, like, at one point he was in AAA this year. And he had he went 0 innings, 1 hit, 4 earned runs, 4 walks. But he was dominating in AA, 15 innings, 1.2 ERA. I'm sure there was an injury. I don't remember him ever going like on the IL. I don't know if they dev listed him. I don't know if
so he was in
temporary
Portland.
No, that was last year.
Through May 27th, and then he got moved to Greenville, and then has made 2 appearances. Maybe, unless it's maybe they're trying. So he went 2 innings on the 3rd, and then he went 4 and 2/3.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to stretch him out. I don't know.
Maybe because he went 49 pitches the second appearance after going 29 a couple days earlier. Earlier in the year, he did go 51 pitches in a 2-inning appearance. Then he went 46 in a 3-inning appearance. So the 49 pitches was the second highest of the year. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was very efficient. He went 4 and 2/3, only throwing 49 pitches. Yeah. Maybe the plan wasn't for him. I'd assume the plan wasn't for him to go 4 and 2/3, but it's still interesting considering he's in Greenville and he's throwing. Oh, that's why I saw the 15 innings, because I was looking at only his Portland numbers.
Portland, yeah.
I do find that interesting that they'd have like I said, very good with this. With his pitches per inning there, 49 pitches and 4 and 2/3 is very impressive. But like I said, it is very interesting considering he also thrown two innings, 4 days before that or whatever. Yeah, from the 3rd to the 7th is only 3 days of rest. So I do find that very interesting. I mean, like I said, it could have just been very efficient with his pitches, but even then, the fact that he almost went 5 is, like I said, nothing bad about it. I'm just intrigued by it.
And then I had 2 people. Eduardo Rivera, another really good start, 5 and 2/3, 1 run, 6 hits. Struck out 8 batters, only walked 1. Sub 2 ERA, sub 2 batting average against, sub 1 WHIP. 53 strikeouts compared to 14 walks in 31 and 2/3 innings. That is an absurd K per 9. Again, we've talked about it before. Just seems like an absolute steal from the A's organization. Interested to see how long he's in high A. Again, it's one of those weird situations where they have a lot of good pitchers in Double A, and they have a lot of pitchers who could get promoted realistically in high A, especially like him and Peyton Tolley. So it'll be interesting to see how long they keep him there. And then Michael Sansone, 2 perfect innings in relief this week. Last week, he gave up just 1 run over 6 innings in his first and only, to this point, start of the season. Since being promoted to high A, he struck out 9 batters compared to 2 walks in 11 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits in 3 appearances. So he's just been fantastic since getting promoted. And those are the only other 2 guys I really wanted to mention. I don't know if you have anyone else.
I'll just mention Noah Dean, 3 1/3, just the 1 run, which was off a homer. 4 strikeouts, did walk 3, but still only gave up the 1 run. Cooper Adams, 3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, only 1 strikeout. He did walk 2 as well, but still 3 innings without giving up any runs. Can't complain about that. I will just mention Tolley's line. 6 innings, 4 hits, did give up 4 earned. Did give up a homer. Also did hit a guy, but only 1 walk and then 8 strikeouts, still striking guys out. Very good. And then I'll just also check in Darvin Garcia, 4 innings, 2 hits, just the 1 run. Did walk 3, but 3 strikeouts. So he had a nice two games out of the bullpen, 2 appearances, 4 innings for him. With that, though, let's move on to Salem here, because there still is a decent amount to talk about. I think we have to start with Yoenis Cespedes. 6 hits for him this week, 5 of them extra base hits, 2 doubles, 2 triples. I mean, boo. Boo. If you know, you know. And then 1 homer. 4 walks, though, this week and only 3 strikeouts. I think that's a big one for him.
That's a big one, yeah.
That's a really big one. And Cespedes has been interesting this year because it feels like he's – I don't want to say his prospect ranking is like kind of fallen a little bit, but at least if you follow the Sox prospect rankings, he's dropped down to 14.
It feels like the hype's gone away a little bit with him.
Hype's gone away.
It's not 100% to do with him. It's like Franklin Arias has been so good that people are like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think, too, because, like, you look at the guys who have jumped him. Tolley moved up from 13 to 5. Yastinson moved up from 14 to 7. Even Dobbins moving up from 12 to 8. Clark moving up from 18 to 10. And, like, he was already behind, like, yeah, he was already behind Sandlin. And Sandlin did jump a little bit, too. I don't think it was really his doing either a ton. And he's now behind Bleis, but Bleis has also been really good as of late. So I don't think it's necessarily his stock falling. I just think the Red Sox have had a lot of guys who have
it's just other people
better
being amazing.
And that doesn't other people have been really, really, really good, right? But it does kind of overshadow Cespedes when, like, don't get me wrong, it's not he hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been absurd like some people in the system have been. And I think that's something that does have to be remembered. Because, yes, like, overall, you look at this year with Salem, he's played 44 games. The overall numbers, 241 average, 303 on base, 425 slug, doesn't look great. But you also have to remember it is still Salem. That's not cutting him slack necessarily, but we've seen guys have mediocre numbers in Salem, and then they go to Greenville and they have really good numbers, and it's like, well, they were playing in Salem. What else do you expect? But still, him having a week like this is very big for him.
Yeah.
He didn't have the quickest of like starts to the year either. So him kind of having a big week like this, I think is very is very nice to see, and it's very good because he hasn't, like I said, there's been so many guys like in Arias, for example. When Arias has the start to a year like he had, it really does overshadow someone like Cespedes because the hype behind Cespedes still was really high. Then Arias goes and basically turns himself into a top 15, top 20 prospect in baseball. And I honestly think he might even be top 10 by the end of the year. Like, that happens. And, like, what, like, it's like Cespedes obviously is going to be overshadowed. And obviously the hype's going to die down because everyone's attention is turned to Franklin Arias.
Yeah, it doesn't make Yoenis Cespedes any less of a prospect. It's just he's not going to get talked about as much because obviously people are going to focus on someone like Franklin Arias doing absurd things.
Yeah, and it's not even just Arias, it's just because people are looking at like Roman Anthony, what he was doing in AAA, and even Marcelo, and
then you get the big weeks from Miguel Bleis, and Bleis Jordan turns into what he's turned into, and Brooks Brannon's on a 14-game hitting streak, and it's like there's only so much time to talk about so many people.
Exactly, and then on the pitching side of things too, like we haven't talked a lot about Salem because since Arias left Salem, Salem's been kind of like not a ton has happened. Yeah, right, and it doesn't help too that the comparison between Salem and Greenville, everything's happening. Like a 9-guy deep lineup. The pitching rotation has been amazing. Yeah. And then you get to Salem, and it's like Salem's typically the last thing we cover because it's like, okay, Cespedes is there, but he's not doing these absurd things like Franklin Arias is, even in high A, right? And that's not a knock on Cespedes. It's just Arias has been absurd. Yeah. And then Fraley gets moved up, and it's like, okay, who is there?
You're running out of options. Yeah,
you're running out of people, and like guys have had good weeks, right?
And you have people getting called up there, like Endy Azekar is going to be a very fun prospect to watch. Justin Gonzalez obviously has had great moments and is going to be awesome to watch. And there's more people that will be getting promoted throughout the year. But Yoenis Cespedes to me is the perfect. When he leaves Single A, I think the hype is going to bounce back up because he's got 20 extra base hits this year, 12 doubles, 4 triples, 4 homers. He's had like 10, 15 balls that I think everyone thought was going to be a homer that ends up either being a deep fly out or like a double or triple off the wall. he's going to hit so many home runs when he leaves. I really think that he's someone who it's going to be like, oh my God, the power is freakish levels of power from someone his size, his build. It's going to be unreal to see what he can do at another ballpark. Obviously, he'll be dealing with harder pitching when he goes up to high A, which will maybe temper things a little bit, but I do think we're going to see some ridiculous power.
And it's crazy too because he's not a big guy either. I mean,
yeah, that's what I mean.
5'8", he is listed at 180
from that build.
5'8".
It's scary what he can do.
That's
and there were some other bats this week.
Yes, there were.
Nathaniel U10 entering May 22nd was slashing 179, 271, 274. Just 10 games later, he's up to 258, 327, 386. He's currently riding back-to-back 3-hit games. He's collected at least 1 hit in 8 of the last 10 games he's played. 6 of those have been multi-hit performances. He was one of the guys that we all talked about at the beginning of the year. Like, oh, man, legitimate breakout candidate, especially if he put on some pounds. And obviously not the best start to the year, but the slash line is very much looking like a positive again. 7 doubles, 2 triples, 2 homers. Still one of the skinniest dudes you'll see. But he's
negative
also,
body fat, probably.
He's also still just 20 years old. He might be 19, actually, now that I say that. It's still very, very young.
He scares me because I get scared sometimes he's going to snap.
Oh, no, he's 20. Okay. It's so ridiculous.
Skinny.
Yeah.
He might be skinnier than the torpedo bats. It's scary. It's scary sometimes.
But there's absolutely something growing with him, which is awesome. And then the other bat that I have to talk about, Andrew Musette, 5-game hitting streak, multiple hits in all 5 of those games. We can go even deeper than that if we want to. 14 games in his last 14 hits. He has a hit in 14 of his last 15 games. It's been 2.5 hours. The words are struggling to come out. He's a right-handed hitting catcher. He's up to a 288, 368, 388 slash line, 7 doubles, 3 homers, 20 RBI. That's really good. That is really good. If you can get that kind of production from a catcher, I know obviously it's single A. So you could argue the pitching's not that good in single A. Yeah, he's also a hitter in single A. He's going to grow. He's going to get better. And again, I mentioned it earlier, catcher is the position at the start of the year that we were like, man, the depth at catcher in the system is terrible. And now you're looking through, and again, you have Brooks Brandon doing really good things. You have Andrew Musette looking like someone who you need to pay attention to. You have Johan Fran Garcia ready to come back. There are a lot of pieces to get excited about at the position. Maybe still not the most exciting position in the system, but it's looking much less like the weakness we thought it would be.
Definitely. And I will also add on the position play side, Andy Azekar, you brought him up. I don't know if he's named a lot of Red Sox fans are familiar with. I mean, definitely not a lot of Red Sox fans, but even people who follow the minor leagues might not be super familiar with him. I mean, this is a guy who he's now up to number 20 on the Sox prospects list from 51. And he only had 3 hits this week, but a double and a homer, also stole a base, right? Added to the talent that's in Salem, because honestly, Salem it was right now it's Cespedes. The guys in the top 30 for Sox prospects, it's Cespedes, Gonzalez, and then Azekar, and that's it, right? That's basically it. I know Yasandro Asensio also had a homer this week. He played in 3 games. He only had 1 hit, but he did have his homer was the 1 hit. Kelvin Diaz also hit a homer this week. So homers from Cespedes, Asensio, Frederick Jimenez, Kelvin Diaz, and Andy Azekar. And then Musset and Newton with 9 and 8 hit weeks each. And then also Framey De Leon had 4 hits this week as well in 4 games. And he also drew 3 walks. So he reached base 7 times this year.
Yeah.
7 times this week.
I have 1 pitcher to talk about. I don't know how many you have, but I have 1 pitcher. Jay Ulmer, 2 appearances on the week, tossed 5 1/3 shutout innings, 2 hits, 3 walks, only struck out 2 batters. On the year, 18 innings, 12 strikeouts to 14 walks is not a big positive. But he does have a 3 ERA and a 197 batting average against. This is an undrafted free agent. A really positive start for him so far. And giving Salem some pitching depth, some innings that they desperately need. We just mentioned it a little bit ago. Not too much to talk about in Salem, so they need all the help they can get, and Jay Ulmer's been phenomenal for them.
Yeah, I'll also add to Adam Bates had 2 appearances out of the bullpen, 4 and 2/3 innings, just 2 hits, no runs. Did walk 3, but also struck out 4. Griffin Killander had an appearance out of the bullpen. He went 2 and 2/3 innings. He did walk 5, but he also didn't give up any hits and no runs, struck out 4 as well. So a little bit shaky with the 5 walks, but overall didn't give up any runs, so can't complain too much, obviously. Steven Brooks, 5 and 1/3 innings in his start. 2 hits, 2 earned, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. So 5 and 1/3, 2 earned. Very, very solid. And can I like suggest a rule while we're here? Can I suggest a rule change that we change quality starts to 6 innings or more with 3 or less runs, or if you go 5 innings, 2 or less runs? Because I feel like 5 innings and less than 2, or if you give up 5 innings and you only give up 2 runs, you're still giving your team a very good chance to win the game. That's always bothered me because it's like if you go 5 innings and you only give up 2 runs, but you don't get the quality start. But a guy who just gets 3 more outs but gives up another run, or you could go 5 shutout innings and you don't get a quality start. The guy who goes 6 innings but gives up 3 runs gets a quality start. I'm just saying, quality starts to me are a little bit flawed. Like you go 5 and 1/3, 2 earned, like Steven Brooks did. To me, that's a quality start, right? You give your team a chance to win. That's my little bit of gripe on quality starts, but it's really besides the point. But I felt it was needed. And then Devin Futrell, he had 1 start, 2 innings pitched. Did give up 3 hits, but no walks, struck out 3 as well, and he didn't give up any runs. And then Iverson Polanco, 2 and 1/3. Did give up 1 earned, but only 2 hits, and then he didn't walk anyone, and then 2 strikeouts. So that's kind of the gist of the pitching in Salem. I didn't have anything else on pitching. But yeah, that's kind of the numbers of the week for Salem. Without Jake here, I actually don't have anything on the FCL. I don't know if you have anything on her.
Johan Fran Garcia has been absurd. I think he has like 4 home runs. Again, I get it that they're probably working some things out and making sure everything's good. But at this point, it feels like he's caught so much. I don't know what he's still doing there. I feel like that's one of those things that we'll hear hopefully this week. He didn't play today, so maybe that's a positive sign that he's done there. Who did play today though was Gerardo Rodriguez, who had 2 more hits. He's hitting .329, 19 years old, catcher, right-handed hitter. Positive outlook from him. D'Angelo Ortiz has been good. I don't feel like he's played recently though. Will Turner's still rehabbing. Just a couple names in the DSL. Dorian Soto and Vladimir Asensio have been absolutely phenomenal. Everything that you could ask for. Asensio is hitting .333 still. Soto seems like he's getting 2 or 3 hits every game. Harold Rivas, 17-year-old outfielder, he's hitting .471. He's 8 for 17 so far. It's tough to get super excited about the DSL because usually it goes DSL and then you still have to go to the FCL and then you make it to single A. And there's just so much, such a massive jump from those leagues to single A. We see it all the time with people putting up ridiculous numbers. And then, we see people put up really good numbers and then get cut because the Red Sox or whatever team doesn't see the things that they need to see. But there are a lot of guys that are exciting to talk about. A lot of guys that were hyped up prospects that are producing so far. So that's a couple positive signs. And yeah, I'm hoping that we see Johan Fran Garcia in single A this week.
Definitely. With that, I think that's a good place to kind of close off our full-blown covering the minor leagues portion. We now have a special guest the prospect. Obviously, Jake isn't here, so we can't do a normal guest the prospect. Hunter, I will allow you to guess, but this one is going to be a deep cut because this one, if Hunter doesn't get it, will be for the people watching on YouTube or listening to the show on whatever podcast site you listen to the show on. This is a guess the prospect for the people. Like I said, Hunter is still allowed to guess it. If Hunter doesn't get it, as I drop my hockey puck I was fidgeting with. Hunter has a baseball. I have a hockey puck. I don't know why I have a hockey puck instead of baseball. It was in reach when we started, and I've been fidgeting with it all show. It's got Pavel Zacha on it, so shout out. Just with that, well, let's get into this. So this current Red Sox prospect does not necessarily have to be in the top 60.
Okay.
And it does not have to necessarily be in the top 60. I said it's a deep cut, so that should give a little bit of
So
hint.
I'm assuming it's not in the Red Sox. Yeah.
This one is handpicked.
Hey, it's a deep cut. It's Roman Anthony. No one ever would have guessed.
That would be hilarious. But no. This prospect started their collegiate career at Pearl River Community College.
I'm so bad with colleges.
As a closer.
Ooh. So I'm assuming they're still a pitcher.
This prospect transferred to Ole Miss after 1 year at Pearl River Community College and was a reliever at Ole Miss. Only appeared out of the bullpen.
Oh, why do I feel like I know someone?
I will add on, at Pearl River Community College, this prospect was the team's closer all season, except the team decided the night before the national championship game to give him the start, where he allowed only 2 runs on 5 hits while striking out 11 over 7 innings. This is coming from the Sox prospects page, so if this is wrong, don't blame me. But this prospect was born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Max Carlson?
Nope. And went to high school in Mississippi.
Oh, wait, no. Max Carlson went to UNC, Hunter. The high school in Mississippi.
This prospect was purely a reliever in college, minus the 3 starts he made at JUCO.
Dalton Rogers.
Nope. Yet in the Red Sox system, in his 5 appearances, 3 of them were starts.
Oh, he's only made 5 appearances. All right. So I'm assuming he's recently drafted.
This prospect was set to transfer to Troy for his senior year of eligibility before he was drafted by the Red Sox. This prospect received a $50,000 signing bonus. So that might give you a little bit of a hint, maybe where he was drafted. This prospect is listed at 6'4", 200 pounds. This prospect bats and throws right-handed. And has a 3-pitch mix.
John Holobitz.
No.
I'm trying to think of people that haven't pitched. You said he okay.
Was drafted by the Red Sox. Holobitz wasn't. This prospect will not likely return from injury until the middle of 2026 due to Tommy John surgery.
Oh, okay. That should narrow it down a ton.
This prospect also has not pitched in 2025.
Yeah. Oh, who got hurt last year? It has to be someone that got drafted and then hurt. Or drafted the year before.
This prospect throws a fastball around 89 to 92, a curveball at 77 to 80, and a slider from 82 to 84. I also don't want to give out rounded year of drafted just because someone could just go look it up, and that's a little bit too. You could probably figure it out through the Ole Miss and Pearl River, but
I can't.
Well, I mean, someone could probably look it up and figure it out.
Yeah.
But through that, but if I just gave the draft round and year, that's way too easy. This prospect has only pitched for the Salem Red Sox in the Red Sox organization, which means they have not pitched in the FCL.
Yeah.
This prospect is 22 years old with their birth date on December 2nd, 2002. The last clue is this prospect has the same initials as friend of the show, Christopher Troy.
CT.
That is the...
Oh, this is going to I'm going to hate when you say who it is because I don't think I know.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not saying who it is until next week's show.
Oh, you dick.
Well, we gotta let the listeners, and viewers now.
I have a guess. I think I got it. CT. I think I got it. But I don't know if I want to say it. I could say it to you after.
It's up to you.
Because then the people, if they want to guess, I mean, I guess they could have still guessed by now.
Or they could have. They very well could have. Or let's do this. Hunter will tell. Let's see. Hunter will type it in the chat.
I was going to say, I'll type it in the chat.
Yeah, and I will reveal whether Hunter has gotten it correct or not.
I mean,
Hunter has gotten it correct.
Yeah, it's CT.
Hunter has gotten it correct. So those are your hints.
I did not think that hint would help, and then it did.
Reach out to us on Twitter. I mean, I guess if you really want to cheat, you could use Sox prospects or baseball reference. But, that's no fun. Let's see some fun guesses. But no, reach out to us on Twitter. Reach out to Hunter. Reach out to myself. Even include Jake if you want. Or do. That'd be nice. Shout out Jake.
Get better, Jake.
So, Hunter does not get a point for that, for guessing that right.
Yeah, I don't deserve one anyway.
So. To be fair, I did say it was going to be a deep cut. So with that, we are finally going to be wrapping this show up.
Sub 3 hours, baby.
Well, we made it under 3. We got it under 3. Or we could just yap for 20 minutes to make it 3. Jake would probably kill us. So let's not do that. So before we go though, shout out Jake. I know he's not here with us. I don't even know if he listens to this long. Jake, we love you. Get better soon. Well wishes. We hope to have you back here soon, but we also hope you're at 100%. And hopefully that is soon because we are missing you a little bit, although we don't mind going to almost 3 hours. This might be we might have to do at one point just to see how long we can go episode just to annoy Jake. Jake might bail at us on the 2 hour, 15-minute mark, and we just go. I have done a podcast episode that was 3 hours and 55 minutes before, and Jordan and I also did the trade deadline live stream last year.
Yeah, that's
that
fair.
Basically,
that's
8 hours. That is different, but I'm just saying. With that, though, we are going to wrap it up. Finally, for Hunter, my name is Derek. As always, thanks for tuning into the Minor League Show here on the Pesky Report, and we will see you next week.